Hello, you're welcome along to the first ever edition of the Matchbook Horse Racing Watchalong in association with Racing Welfare. And I'm Daniel Hussey, your host. Delighted to welcome, firstly, Matchbook's very own Micheál Deasy with his Matchbook background. Deasy, whereabouts are you at the moment?
I'm in Matchbook Towers in Blackpool and Cork.
Great spot, great part of the world, isn't it?
I'm supposed to say the Matchbook room in my house. That's all the joke is. That's my wall.
I was setting you up, yeah. And Steve, for those who didn't watch the pod this morning, I was listening back to it, and Tom really did you in with the delighted to welcome a team of experts and Steve Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
He likes to try and wind me up at every opportunity, and when we're in the studio together at Racing TV, like we were yesterday, he spends the whole time trying to take pictures of me and doing stupid things and stupid faces, and so I'm well used to it. I was interested. I thought Dease was going to say he was in Blackpool Tower. I thought, oh my God, what are you doing up there? But no, Blackpool in Cork. It sounds, I'd imagine it's a little bit upmarket than Blackpool, Lancashire. Yeah, Blackpool's in Lancashire. I've been there once for a stag weekend. Oh my God, that was a long time ago.
Some parts of it are, I suppose.
You couldn't get anything to eat. I promise you couldn't get anything to eat that wasn't either chips or come with chips.
Yeah,
it's just never been a place. I'm not a massive fan of chips, so.
Well, as you can see, we've got off to a brilliant start with dissecting and comparing the two Blackpools. But to give you a bit of background to what we're going to do, I'll get DC to bring up the Matchbook, a special racing welfare charity account that we've set up on Matchbook. So throughout, Matchbook kindly donated £1,000 guaranteed to the racing welfare, and it's our job over the next couple of months, right up to Champions Day, October 15th, I think it is, to maybe even increase that prize fund. So what we'll be doing is been betting on an evening sort of meetings this time or tonight, so you can watch along with us. We're going to be covering Goodwood on the flat and Aintree on the jumps with the amount of runners there as well. So plenty of action. What we're going to do, DC, you're going to be kind of talking through the intricacies of the exchange, back in lane, that sort of thing. So it'll be a good kind of watch for listeners that haven't bet on the exchange before, and even some that have.
Yeah, I suppose that's a big part for the Zell, is that people are used to sports books and fractional odds and just backing. So we went to show here is how to use the exchange, the different kind of bets, backs to win, lay horses to lose, place betting instead of each way betting. We're going to try and get a bit of everything in there. And as we should mention as well, like we have guaranteed 1,000 for the charity, no matter what we do here. So the boss has answered me today about the budget, like, so we'll do our best. We'll do our best, but they're going to get their 1,000 quid anyway.
Yeah, so even Steve can try his best, but there'll still be £1,000 guaranteed at the end.
It takes a bit of the pressure off, doesn't it? I don't want to be doing the dough of some charity at every turn. So yeah, it gives you a bit of a safety net.
And Steve, you were mentioning to me there that before we went on air that you have a lot of lays this evening, which is very, very interesting.
A few. Yeah, I should do. You know, I'm going to, during the course of the evening, I'm going to run a query on my form book, because I think the summer jumping is the most random form of the game, especially with the small fields and that. So I'm going to run a query to see if you make money laying all the odds-on shots in summer jumping, and hopefully it'll work. Hopefully I'll get it right, because you have to put in the right parameters, and it takes a bit of.
DC, you've been having a small bit of success laying a few short price favourites there over recent weeks, have I seen? Or
I'll just the one yesterday, and I was texting Jonesy about the Rajavarian horse. We did a practice run of this the other night, and we were joking about Rajavarian shorties and how it's a fast way to go broke, and he duly obliged, but we backed him and then he lost. So.
And we also had a 101 horse beat live, which is a pity. That was a great watch on the stream.
He was the one. He went 101. The Haggis horse beat him the other night. She looks a nice horse, but that's in the past. There'll be a bit of that now tonight. We'll talk about this sharp price favourite here on Goodwood in a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get onto that in a bit. Steve, for the card that's coming up, you mentioned already summer jumps, so I think this is actually a really good comparison. You're watching a flat card from Goodwood on a Friday night, but you're also watching a jumps from Aintree, which I've been over to Aintree obviously for the main Grand National Festival. Unbelievable course, huge course. So I don't know how many punters are there this evening based on the runners' cards. I'll just go through the 5 races we're coming from Aintree. There's a 4-runner race, a 3-runner race, a 4-runner race, a 5-runner race, and a 4-runner race as well.
I think there's a concert on there after racing, so there should be quite a good crowd. I'd never heard of the person who was in concert, but it wasn't Neil Diamond or Elton John, so it could be anyone else who's ever had a record out, but it's probably someone who's I'm not their absolute target audience, I would imagine. I can't even remember the name. The other day, Don said he was taking his daughters to see Billy Idol, and I said, "God, is Billy Idol still going?" He said, "No, not Billy Idol. Billy something else. Who was a female young woman from America." I'd never heard of her. I don't think Don had either, to be fair.
Her name is Billie Eilish, and her grandfather is from Dunmanway in West Cork. Or her great grandfather.
Oh, wow.
More recently, yeah.
That's where she gets her vocal cords from, clearly.
Yeah.
So, Steve, tell us a little bit about your sort of punting strategy. Would you, for example, on the Goodwood Aintree Friday evening cards, would this be something up your street, or are you kind of afternoon man, or what? How do you kind of go about? Because I can't get over the amount of races on in the UK each day. Like, especially at the moment, it's around 6 or 7 on average, including Irish courses.
It's bonkers, isn't it? And we're keeping 300 because of the BHA. Good plan, lads. Good plan. We don't want any less racing when there's 3-4 runner races at Aintree. No, I wouldn't really. I would look at Aintree because I love Aintree, and then I'd see there's so few runners, and it wouldn't, because I tend to try and get the favourite beat to start with in every race. In that, it's how I've worked historically, because then if you do stick with the favourite, you really fancy it. You're not saying, "Oh, I just go with the favourite." Like I try and look for flaws, and then I try and see, because the betting is absolute dependent on the price, and so I like to be looking at bigger prices. That's what I do for the Mirror. I do a column for the Mirror Value Scope, and I do a big race analysis every week for valuerated.co.uk. So it's value that I'm looking for, bigger prices. And when there's small fields like that, it just doesn't do me. But Goodwood, I do like betting at Goodwood. It might make me a bit of a sadist, because I know you can get into a bit of trouble. But the big meeting at Goodwood in Glorious Goodwood in July, I love that meeting. I love betting there. I think there's some real good angles in all the time. So I'm looking forward to it tonight, but I was quite surprised. The sun's been shining mostly here, but not down on the south coast, clearly, because it's soft ground. So it took a bit of a while to get my head around that it was soft ground. But then again, I'd imagine the horses, a lot of them would have been entered at the 5-day stage thinking it might be better ground. So you're looking at softer ground, and you're probably looking at a few horses that won't want it.
Yeah, the interesting angles already. Deasy, to just read your Twitter bio here, it says the jumps, about 8 or 9 dots, the flat, 3 dots, the jumps, the jumps. But I've kind of, speaking to you over the last couple of months, I see a renewed surge in your love of the flat. Would I be correct in that?
I do. I like the flat. I didn't really bet in the flat when I was a young fella, mainly because I was working every hour of the day during summers, or I was away, and I just didn't watch it. But I mean, the last 3 years, I've obviously been on this. Like I enjoy flat racing. It's just generally during the summers I don't get to sit at home on Saturdays to watch it, and there is so much of it as well that it can be a bit overwhelming on the flat. But I do enjoy flat racing, and I enjoyed looking through this now today, getting ready for this. I'm looking forward to this tonight, and I have found 1 or 2 that will fit that angle that Jonesy just brought up there about the ground, especially in the second race here at Goodwood. I think I might have a sneaky one there.
Oh, well, we might get you to bring up the prices there. And Steve, the final thing on the flat and the jumps, you kind of mentioned that despite the jumps, you could argue it's probably less of a product given the field size and stuff. There's still more love out there, at least on Twitter and at least on racegoers, for the jumps over the flat.
Yeah, absolutely. Jump racing's hugely popular, especially the bigger meetings. I think something has to be done to stop there being small fields. 2-3 runner races are not very good for racing's health because people aren't going to want to bet on it so much. So something has to happen there. But I grew up going to tracks like Stratford and Worcester and Hereford, and a lot of the smaller tracks, and as well as likes of Warwick, Cheltenham, Newbury. So yeah, I grew up in jump racing territory, so I love jump racing. But I love the change of the seasons as well. So by the time the Grand National comes, I'm sort of ready for the flat. And by the time we're getting towards like sort of after the Ledger or between the Ledger and Champions Day, I'm ready for the jumps again. So I think it works really well in this country. I think we've got so much variety. The tracks, especially, are all different. I can't imagine sitting here watching American racing all the time where they just go round and round in the same sort of tracks and you wouldn't know one from the other. So I think we're very lucky in this country to have such a depth in variety.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree with that, and especially the UK and Ireland kind of angle. Deasy, do you want to take us through the first race you're watching? So guys watching, I see plenty in the live chat there. Do get your thoughts on the first race here, the 1749 from Goodwood, and the winner of that. Deasy's going to take you through the betting first of all, and then maybe a little bit through the runners as well.
Yeah, so this is over 1 mile to 197, but we'll say 1 mile 2. So Simply Sondheim for George Boy is the favourite. He's now 1.86. He's been very, very well backed all day. Alveston is second in at 10.0. Sir Min is 10.5. Coppernon for Gary Moore is 11.0. Golf is 21.0. Non-Such Lad for Jim Boyle is 23.0. Bays for David Manoussier is 29.0. And you have Ala Francaise for Marcus Tregoning is 32.0. Virtuoso for Andrew Balling is 34.0. And Profit Stream for Sir Mark Todd is the 65.0 Ragged Field.
Yeah, so Steve, initial thoughts looking at those prices. You've been kind of studying the race earlier on. We're about 6 minutes before the off. This is when the exchange gets a bit exciting, Steve. But yeah, looking at those prices, who stands out to you as maybe a value play at the moment?
Well, Simply Sondheim's been, you wouldn't mind have been backing him at Hamilton in a few weeks ago when he was off 56. And he bolted up and he was really well backed. I'd say he's going to be hard to beat again. I know this is the 4th run in just a couple of weeks. But he's winning so easily and he's clearly thriving and it didn't do him any harm last time. But to answer your question, I go just a place on Copperknob. I think Gary Moore's horses are in good form and I think Copperknob's one of those that will handle the ground. He ran okay on his comeback. Under a £7 apprentice, Hector Crouch taking over today. I thought that was a promising enough start, especially as he was up with the pace throughout. And most of those that finished in front of him had been raced more patiently. So that was particularly promising. He has run once at Goodwood on soft ground and he didn't run very well, but that was only his second start over 7 furlongs. And I think going up in distance today is going to help Copperknob. He's by Churchill, who, although won the Guineas, puts a lot of stamina into his horses. And so, yeah, Copperknob, who I'm reliably informed is Tom's nickname from his wife. His wife calls Tom Copperknob all the time. I'm sure that's true.
I need to confirm or deny that. Deasy, you've a case for a couple of horses. So before we kind of have a group decision on where we're going with bets, make your case for a couple of horses.
Yeah, so I think Simply Sondheim is carrying a double penalty for this because he's won twice in the last week, and while the Boyard they don't really miss when the money is down. I think he's got a good bit on his plate here. I would say that even at odds on, I think I would prefer to lay him than back him definitely at this price. If you're laying him at 1.8, it's basically a 5-4 shot that any other horse in the race beats him. So the other two I was looking at then was two big price ones. Non-Such Lads for Jim Boyle. He ran at Salisbury last time and he looked a bit hard to settle. Actually, the camera at the start of the race was behind him and you could see him just jinking all over the place, and he looked like he wasn't enjoying himself at the start, but he settled fairly well, and then there was a bit of money for him on the day as well, which is another thing I kind of took into account. He came around the outside and got going, and he finished second to a horse that's actually running in Aintree in the next race. We'll come to her in a second, but finished second. The other horse which got the first run, and he stayed on well. I thought there was definitely a bit of value in his price at he's 25.0 now, but he's after drifting a lot since this market opened. And the other one, which was a very big price as well, is A La Francaise, the Marcus Tregonning horse. Now this is his local track. This is where he has most of his runners. This horse he ran over 7 furlongs at Goodwood last September, and was on the pace and just stayed on, but was obviously just didn't have the pace for 7 furlongs. He's up a good bit in trip now. The Racing Post says that he might need the run, but Marcus Tregonning has had 2 winners in the last week, and they were both in their first run for the season. So just at the price there, 32.0, that was something that kind of dragged me in as well. But again, these are wild enough things.
Do you know what? Do you know what amazed me about the horse that you were talking about, trained by Marcus Tregonning? It's that Marcus Tregonning's only had 17 runners this season, and 4 of them have won. He's like a classic Derby-winning trainer, won huge amounts of races in his time, and he's hardly got any horses. And it just shows you the kind of the way fashion goes. I mean, he's still he had a winner yesterday with Alizar, who also won at Goodwood earlier in the season. And it just amazes me that a really top trainer who's had top horses is just seemingly ignored.
He's got the support of a good owner here with Kirsten Rosing, so there's still someone sitting in their horses, Tom. But
yeah.
We get a couple of bets down, DC.
Yeah,
I'm happy to go for those 3 in the place market anyway. Maybe.
If you're happy enough to go for, will we go for the? What did you want? 4 places or 3 places for Copper Knob? So we'll just go look at the 4 place market. So this is, as it says in the tin, to finish in the top 4. Copper Knob is 1.86. Do you think he'll go closer than that when we go for the 3 place? He's 2.4.
Yeah, I was looking at the 3 places. I think 4 places odds on it doesn't really interest me. And I can see there's a few of them in there that have gone down to the start a bit keen. I was trying to see the horse with the cross belts. There is Prophet's Dream. I mean, that's a rank outsider, so you wouldn't expect too much. But there was a few in the soft ground going down a bit keen. Some Min's got that. Just the red hood there has just been taken off, so they're obviously worried about, because that's to help a horse get down to the start and get through the parade without getting too worked up. So there are obviously a few issues with Some Min, who's around a 10.0 kind of chance. So yeah, I think this race, it might well fall apart a little bit. Simply Sondheim is the one that is obviously taking huge chunks out of the market. So yeah, 3 places Copper Knob I'll go for.
So DC, talk us through. So you're on the 3 place market, and
I'm on the 3 place market here now. So we have we're after getting Copper Knob was 2.4 when Jonesy started talking about him. Now she's down to 2.14. So there's been a bit of probably a bit of each way support for the horse. He's being well punted. That looks good for us. We're after getting a bit of value.
And we can get out, can't we? If it's looking good, we can get out at any point. So if Copper Knob gets a decent position and goes short earlier in the race, then it might be the coward in me wants to save money rather than cost racing welfare money.
It's different pressure, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, I just go through that here, I suppose. But what Steve is saying is that we've obviously backed him to win here now, but you can lay him as well. So if we just put this in here now at something like 1.5 and we stick in our tenner, we'll see over here on the screen that it's these figures have changed. Is race off?
Yeah, Bayer's missed the break there, which he should presumably go right out in the betting. Copper, there doesn't seem to be a strong pace on there. The horse you fancy there, Dees, of Marcus Tregonning's, is making the running with the horse that went down quite keen, Prophet's Dream, who's keen through the race. Copper Knob's up on the inside. The favourite is sort of alongside, and they're right at the back of the field. But I think there's going to be a bit of a pace injection in a minute. and that is Caught Out Virtuosa, another one of the outsiders. The favourite's a bit keen, to be honest, and it seems to have got quite warm as well.
Yeah, favourite is after drifting the nice, but on the exchange now he's up to 2.3. So if you were in
2.38,
you got your value there now.
2.38 still holding on to that.
Yeah.
Copper Knob 6.2 to win here, Steve. 7.6.
Well, Alva Diston, you see why he's drifted. He's very keen. He's still pulling very hard, and he's given his jockey there, Paddy Bradley, a real torrid time. And Copper Knob slipped up the inside quite nicely. So as long as he doesn't get stopped.
Yeah, getting pushed along a little bit here now, though.
Maybe we ought to think about getting out if we can, but we're probably too late.
Too late. It's on the drift here now. The favourite's looking good.
Do you know what? I think there's going to be a lot of changes here in the closing stages because the horses up the front might have got first run, but they have been keen. And that Alveston, who went right out, is travelling really well, but he pulled very hard. I'm not giving up on Copper Knob here. He's staying on.
Yeah.
He's staying on.
Look at through the gap. Yes, he is staying on.
Oh,
3 places, is it?
Tight.
Oh, my God,
It's going to get a bit tight. It's going to get a bit tight. Here comes the favourite. He's over the top. He's over the top.
Oh, he's going to get third.
Come on, Copper Knob. Come on, Copper Knob. Come on, Copper Knob.
Yes.
We got third.
That's brilliant.
We got third. Winning start, everybody.
Cool, man, Steve.
That is 10 out of 10, Steve Jones.
So, we made ourselves a few quid there. It was tight in the finish, and it could be... I think, it's so tight, this finish. It's the rank outsider whose head is just coming back. Prophet's Dream's done really well there because he went down to the start quite keen, and he was quite keen through the race. And
you can see, sorry to cut across, Steve, you can see the live betting at the moment, so it's 1.26 to 5.
I think they're probably right. I mean, we could easily play up our winnings here because I think Simply Sometimes won.
I don't know. He went into 1 point. Did I see 07 there's Deasy, maybe 1.1. You remember the bias is always to the horse that comes at the end, which was Simply Sondheim. So I'm not.
They were 100%. The danger is, of course, with betting Simply Sondheim at 1.2, 1.3. If it's a dead heat, we lose a proportion, don't we? Because of the odds on. The
betting stopped. So who's won? I think
Simply Sondheim has won. We should have gone with our first thought. Do you know what? I honestly think I'm a very good judge of photo finishes.
Oh wow!
And I'm bigging myself up there for a massive fall. But my first impression is often not the right off. That's a terribly arrogant thing to say.
No, I had that for a while, and then I called the photo badly wrong with a group of mates. So it only takes one, Steve, to get wrong, and that's it. Same with the commentators.
Absolutely.
Well, you were very confident, and we've got off to a winning start. So DC, when I say that'll settle in a minute or two, we'll see the profit we made. But that's a brilliant start for the matchbook horse race in Watchalong.
Great stuff, Jonesy. We're up £8 minus the 2% commission that you have to pay on winnings at matchbook. But happy enough.
Very good,
Steve. It can only get worse, can't it? I feel a bit bad now that we've started off on a winner, even though it's great. I do feel like, oh no, it can only go downhill. But we'll give it a kick. We might end up at the end of the night drinking champagne on behalf of racing welfare.
Steve, I'm watching a replay here, and Copper Knight looks well beat at this point. So, but you were always not giving up on him.
The thing with Copper Knob is he's bred on the don't forget your knob. He's bred on the dam side to be a sprinter by out of a mare who was an excellent art now. A lot of speed in there, and there's related to 5 furlong, 6 furlong winners. But Churchill, who I think is quite a promising stallion, who was obviously a Guineas winner for Aidan O'Brien a few years ago, he puts a lot of stamina in these horses. And Copper Knob's again, you can see him going up in distance again, which is quite incredible, especially with the soft ground bringing the stamina into play. So if you're looking at Churchill horses, lots of stamina. And Adele said this on the pod this morning. She fancies a Churchill horse tomorrow. I can't remember which one it was, but she fancies one. And again, it's the stamina angle. So Churchill, as you would expect of Britain's greatest leader, He's a stayer.
What I've told you about being bringing British politics on the podcast, Steve.
I don't think that's controversial, is it, about Churchill?
No,
I hope not. I don't think we want to talk about the present politicians who aren't quite as impressive.
But if anyone who does want to follow, just check out Steve Jones's Twitter for all the updates.
I'm not political at all. I'm just I always say to people, politics, when they say, "Oh, you're left wing, you're right wing," politics shouldn't be about left and right. It should be about right and wrong. And there's a party slogan for my new political party in the coming years.
Here. Deasy, on the 3 plate now. Something I don't do, guys, is the place market. And there's a perfect example of cheering on a horse to finish third. And you're not just getting your each way money back. You're actually getting a winner there, because obviously the horse didn't win, but place. And to be honest, that was the ideal scenario there, coming third in the 3 place market. But there's more options out there than people think, instead of just winning each way all the time.
Yeah, that's it. Because I mean, if you backed him each way, you were giving away a bit of your profit just on the win bet. So that's one of the handy things in the exchange, that we could place, like, a quarter of a point on the win market and put most of it on the place market. You can see here now, so we're after winning 1176 from that there now. So he
24% commission then, in my calculations, is it?
Yeah.
Not bad.
So that's
24 pence. Sorry, Steve, 24 pence.
Can't show the reports there now, unfortunately, but that's the way the exchange work, because we charge 2% commission on winning bets. So he was back to was he 2.2 we got him, or 2.12, sorry. So 12 quid there to stand off. We're happy enough with that. If we can do the same here now in the next one, Steve, that'll be keep the 100% record going. Oh, he's coughing away there. That was a good start. The two value horses I picked were absolutely over. So we'll leave it to Jonesy for the rest of the night.
No, that's my one high spot of the night. I think it's interesting though, if we're talking punting tactics, when a horse like Simply Sondheim takes so much out of the market, and like you were saying, you can bet 2 places, you can bet 3 places, you can bet 4 places. If you're betting 2 places with a horse that you think, like Simply Sondheim, it's pretty much got a very good chance of being the first 2. You're betting the forecast almost for the 2 places. And with the 4, you're sort of, because it's a competitive place market, you're sort of having to take odds on a horse like Coppernob. So it was the perfect thing to finish third. And it doesn't very often drop perfectly when you're betting, but it did there. And it was good. Yeah, it was good.
It's breaking habits of a lifetime, isn't it? Again, like I'd have been always win each way, but there's just so much more you can do, and especially like you said, if a favourite is taking so much out of the market. We've got 4 minutes, Deasy. What's your thoughts on the 603 at Aintree?
Oh, this is a tough one. Not much thoughts. So we'll just go through the market there. So David Pipe has the favourite. Free Chicarte is at 1.44. So long odds on. Then you have All in Peller, which is the name at Mullins horse. Brian Hughes rides at 7.0. Makuna from Milton Harris is 7.4. And Fast Style for Sam Allwood is 26.0. So I suppose Free Chicarte, 23 length win on debut for David Pipe there a few weeks ago. Won a couple of times in France in the flat. Obviously has the best form by far in the race, but is a very sharp price. And you've All in Peller there has had a couple of runs in the flat in Ireland, but has never really shown anything. Emmett has brought him over, and it's a kind of a attractive jockey booking, but hasn't been very well supported. Makuna then, Milton Harris was last seen beating Non-Such Lad the last time, run over hurdles now. And Fast Style is an ex-Roger Charlton horse who actually finished off his career fairly well in the all-weather. I watched back his races there. His last win I thought was impressive. He ended up as a 70 rated horse in the flat. Sold 15k, and this is his first run for the new stable. So, Steve, where are we betting on this, or are we betting on this?
Do you know what? After we worked so hard to get a few quid in the first at Goodwood, I just would be very dubious about having a bet in this, because I think Freacher Carter is almost certain to win, because for my money, experience is key in these juvenile hurdlers early on. And not only did Freacher Carter win last weekend at Hexham by a country mile, jumped very well, went from the front. And if that happens again against horses that by definition can't have done much schooling because they're only 3-year-olds, you wouldn't expect that they've been over hurdles for too long in their life. I think that's quite often why Alan King does very well with juveniles early in the season, because he's often had them throughout their life. So they probably do start them off over hurdles a little bit sooner than someone who's picked something off the flat and is trying to nick a hurdle race with him not long after they've got it. So he's a bit keen going down to the post, or she's a bit keen going down to the post, but not as keen as the one behind, which is Milton Harris's runner, Micheál, who
money coming, Steve, for Micheál, 5.8 now.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Milton Harris had such a fantastic jump season last year, and last season, and he started off well again. He's a guy who's clearly got a good got a good system going and having a lot of winners. But I'd be surprised if the favourite got beat here. It's very boring. It's quite a boring race, I think. But I think it's brave for anyone to be backing Micheál. For my money, I wouldn't want to risk racing welfare's money on this race personally. I don't know what Dees thinks.
Yeah, no, this is very much a no bet race, even because there's when you got two places there now. Micheál is this is basically without the favourite market. So Micheál is 1.82 to finish second. Juvemet's Harsin is 2.28, and Fast Style is 8.2.
Well, these on all in Petter now. I was looking at this card earlier, and if there was a bit of money for him, I would be interested. But the fact there hasn't been much money does it come a stage where that 2.28 to finish in the top two, is that, considering the jockey book and considering the trainer first run over jumps? I know there's so much of the flat.
Look, this horse is owned by Emmett as well, so we can presume he's over here on sale. So. Yeah. If that's an angle you want to play, I'm happy enough to throw half a point, maybe a fiver on a 2.38.
Yeah, what do you think, Steve? Am I bonkers with that?
Yeah, I think you're spot on with. I think you're spot on that he'll be trying to sell it, so he'd be geared up all you like. I don't think he'd want to stick all in Petter back on the ferry on the way home, but yeah, it wouldn't.
Maybe quarter safeties.
If I was someone who was interested in backing odds on shots, I don't think Freacher Carter at 1.4 something was a particularly bad bet, but I don't like betting that short at all. I think you're asking for massive trouble, especially in juvenile hurdles, when we know even with 4 runners, anything could happen because they don't tend to jump very straight. And if something does decide it wants to take Freacher Carter on, it could make for a few. I haven't got enough bottle to bet that short. I'd be terrified, personally. But
he's 2.5 now, all in Petter to place.
He's shown absolutely nothing on the flat, did he? So
that's the thing. Yeah.
Has he got any ability at all? I mean, I'd imagine that that they'll be trying to make him look good. But
I'm happy to lead this race. I'm happy to lead this race because we've all sort of have a horse to kind of keep an eye on here. But fascinating how it goes. Juvenile hurdles, very exciting. Even during the summer, 3-year-olds here, and they're off.
It's going to plan at the moment, isn't it? Because
we 1.4 great price now.
We thought that Freacher Carter would go off in front, and she has. She's got that hood on. You can see why she's a bit keen in front. And Fast Style is the one just tracking her. They're not going a very fast pace. And Micheál has settled fairly well at the rear. As I say that, just picked his head up a little bit. This is the first flight. This will be interesting.
And Steve, exactly what you said there about they all jump different directions. Nothing better example than that first hurdle.
Yeah, experience is the key. And the next one, and yeah, Emmett Mullins is, I mean, it's getting over in a fashion, but these are making their debut, the three behind. So you can understand it. I wouldn't want to jump those things for the first time. The second horse there, the outside of the whole field's sort of running down the hurdles a bit, which I wouldn't want to be up the inside of that one.
You can see the market there, just 8.6, 8.4. Alan Petter, Mukuna, virtual second favs on their own there.
I think if we were sharp enough, this was always going to happen with Free Chicata. It's interesting in running because Free Chicata was what, 1.44, something around there. Yeah. And if you wanted to just pinch a tiny bit, it was always going to go 1.3 something by definition of getting the lead. And they were always going to, in my mind, allow Free Chicata the lead. So you could have had a lot of money on and got out over the first hurdle kind of thing. But that's not very brave, is it? Betting odds on shots to get out in pinch a couple of quid. It's not very brave.
Peter Punts there likes Petter Place.
Yeah. Roy Thornton is a 400-kilometre round trip. Emmett had a horse over in Stratford, I think it was a few weeks ago, for a hunter's chase as well. That didn't go to plan in the same colour. So he's obviously trying to sell a few over here.
Yeah, it's the age-old debate, though. Like, how much do you read into that? Like, if everybody knows about it, then suddenly it's not an angle, is it?
No, quite. But he's obviously won the Grand National, so it's going to attract a bit of attention, whatever he's doing.
He's jumping a bit better now, anyway. He's going along
8.2 though.
He's going along nicely in second there now.
Well, they've dropped Fast Style, so
yeah,
if we had backed All in Petter to place, yeah, we're a 50-50 chance at the moment. So yeah, they still haven't got much of a pace. Tom Scudamore's hanging on to Free Chicata totally, and I think as soon as he asks this horse to go, I think she will go. But they're close enough at the moment. I think in second he's just trying to hang on, and Mukuna, for me, was going to go past it some point in the near future. Brian Hughes is a really good jockey. He's one of those quiet jockeys through a race, though, when you don't know quite how well he's travelling. He looks to be travelling all right.
I mean, he's going out here. Now.
Oh, and there is Juvenile Hurdlers, because up in Pedden, just when he didn't need to, it smashed through it. I'm glad we didn't back Free Chicata.
I would bring your attention to the prices now, lads, on screen at the moment. Kuna was trading on there. Can you see that there? Yeah.
No, I think you need to. Oh, Mukuna's going to do it.
And up in Pedder, it's got to get up for second.
Oh my God!
And at the expense of the fav, I would never have laid the favourite in that race. I must say, I would never ever. And we could have laid the favourite to place and cleaned up, but I'd never have laid that. So that's interesting.
That's a fascinating race, a bit mad.
And Peter Punts is laughing all the way to the bank because he backed up in Pedder.
They didn't back me, Peter. They didn't back me. Now, did I back myself? Probably not. So, 2-place marker, 2.5 would have been. But Jesus, yeah, Micheál, again, it was a hard one to pick out. And a bit of a weird finish there. It's a long old run in an Aintree. I keep forgetting that. As they turn in, how far they have to go, those three hurdles in the back straight. Or in the
and what you saw down the straight with inexperienced horses who jumped okay through the race because they were going no pace. And when the race picked up, their jumping fell apart a bit up in Pedder, with maybe a little bit unlucky not to win. I think that mistake. But Milton Harris had a brilliant season last year. And Juvenile Hurdlers were kind of his flagship horse, Knight Salute, who obviously won the Grade 1 at Aintree, the Grand National meeting. So I doubt Mukuna will end up there, but you never know. Catch It started off very early in the season at Market Raisin 1 year in a race that Nigel Hawke won one year with a horse called Juvenile Hurdle, Market Raisin, early in the seasons, maybe September. And he won with a horse called Tiger Roll.
Oh.
And sold him for about 80 grand. And I imagine thought that was well sold.
I only watched the documentary a couple of months ago. Should have got that.
Jeez, I would have catch. By the way, you were saying that Catch It ran against Tiger Roll.
No, sorry. I was talking about that Market Raisin race. Sorry, I'm rambling. Catch It started early in the season and won at Market Raisin, I'm sure, on debut. And then went through it. No.
I was just doing quick maths there and I was like, no, that can't be right.
and years ago in my youth, Martin Pike did it with a horse called Hopscotch, who I started very early. It would have been the days when they had a summer break. So he started off, and I think he won at every Cheltenham meeting, bar the festival, and went off favourite for the Triumph Hurdle. I don't think he won the Triumph Hurdle, or she.
I suppose that kind of brings us onto the topic of summer jumps. Discussing this earlier, but like looking at that there now, like a 4-runner juvenile hurdle. I mean, surely it's only on there to get to distract people before the concert at this stage, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. I'm not against these concerts per se. It brings people in, and maybe they, even if one in 100 people watch the racing and decide they want to come back, then that's a good thing. But I think there's a time and a place for them. The big meetings is not the time and the place, in my opinion. And there's been a few where it's not been great.
And this is a Friday night as well, which I suppose there's other reasons to be getting people out and stuff. But just like I don't remember the time when there was no summer jumps. I remember years ago there was no summer jumps, and it's something that I would pay absolutely no attention to during the summer is the summer jumps. I'd never really watch anything bar maybe the Galway Festival. But.
Or if maybe I'd be similar, like the odd time I ended up at Kilbeggan in the summer, and that would be great for the day. One thing, like Leopardstown's a good example. I don't know if you've been seeing on Twitter recently that they have 4 Bulmers live. They're called Thursday nights coming up, so they should attract good crowds. But what they've done is they've put other Thursday night meetings. I think there was one last week where I think they're charging too much. They're charging, like, for us anyway in Ireland, like €20, €25 to go to this, where it should really be free in, because I think the best part of 200 people showed up, and Leopardstown's a huge track that can host 10, 11, 12,000 on a good day. It's a bit frustrating in that sense. Now, I'd be hopeful those Bulmers live, similar to the Aintree one here, but the race will be decent. There'll be good crowds there, but I think there's massive missed opportunity and not letting racegoers in for free in certain meetings, particularly in Ireland. I don't know what it's like in the UK as well, but
yeah, I think some of the day-to-day stuff is badly priced, and there's a suggestion that it's done on purpose because some tracks with low-grade racing, they don't really want people there because they're getting the media rights race for race, and they don't really want people, and that's sad. They might as well just open it up, put on some basic refreshments, and let people kick on. Because at the end of the day, if you don't engage that interest, you're going to lose it, and it'll be impossible to get it back. So you've got to make it, even if they charged $5 or something to get in. And I know that might be impact on the staff that they would have to put on the gates and things like that. But you've got to make it attractive and competitive to the pricing structure for what you're getting.
Yeah, a lot of problems there, I think. A lot of problems there. I love Leopardstown. The people who live around Leopardstown have probably spent 25 quid in their breakfast most days.
That's it. I'm only like 15 minutes away in my family house nowadays. I don't know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's my local track. But come here, Leopardstown do a great I think it's 18 to 30 or under 30 membership. Fantastic value on that. And so I get free into all the meetings for essentially 100 quid, I think, throughout the season, which is brilliant. Cheltenham do something similar. So there are kind of options for younger people. But the vast majority won't do that upfront cost of membership. They'll only like that day out in the races, like you said, Steve. But we'll move on. These, you have the prices ready for the 6:24 at Goodwood. We're about 8 minutes before the off now. Last time the start kind of got away from us, which was probably a blessing in disguise. But take us to the runners and the riders.
Yeah, so bring it up there. Yeah, so as you can see, Ravens Arc is the favourite of 4.6. Huey Morrison trains. Then you have Gary Moore with Agagio at 4.8. Auriferous, Andrew Balding's runner at 6.6. Then you have Happy for Mark Johnson. Saratoga Gold, Charlie Hills 12.0. Then you have Whitehaven, Huey Morrison's other runner is 13.0. Fox Valley is 14.5. Then you have Domesman for Jim Boyle 17.5. And Twisted Reality 34.0. David Manuzzi's runner.
Steve, anything stand out there? Again, you looked at this market earlier, but we're about 8 minutes away. Anyone stand out as a big price for you here currently?
Well, if the ground is, I don't know how soft the ground is. It looked, they didn't go very fast in that race, did they? The previous race, and maybe, but they're saying it's soft. I don't know. I haven't seen the times yet. I haven't studied those. So if it is, as they say, I think Whitehaven's interesting, even though he hasn't run for since November, because he was very progressive last season and the previous season, and it's all on soft ground. If you take out the runs that weren't on genuinely soft ground, there was a run at Chester on good to soft, which was drying out a little bit that day, and one at Windsor on good. It's very good. He won at Haydock over 2 miles, so he stays very well. I think there's a bit of pace in here. I think they should go a decent enough gallop, even if the ground is quite soft. So Whitehaven in the place market. So for 3 places, we're looking at 3.8. For 4, we're looking at 2.6. I'd probably, in this instance, he's a sort of horse, because he hasn't run for a while, I would still go for 3 places, because he'll either run well or he'll probably finish down the field out of fitness. I haven't seen the pictures from Goodwood to see if we can get a look at him and see how fit they are. But they don't send them to the races unfit these days, not like in the good old days. So you'd hope that Whitehaven might run well on the ground.
Yeah, he was actually entered last week at bring up there. I think he was entered at Goodwood last week and was pulled out because of the ground was given as the excuse, and the ground was good. He was the one I picked out as well, Steve. He was a big price earlier. He was 25.0 this afternoon. So there has been a bit of each way support from. I'll just check it out. He was he was entered in Goodwood on the 5th of June, and it was pulled out for unsuitable ground when the ground was good. And the times of the first few races suggest it's proper soft ground here as well. So happy enough to roll in behind them. And the 3 places, I think 3.75. A bit of time there. We might stick it up there and see can we get a.
Yeah. So explain what you're doing here, Deasy, in terms of sticking up. I've always kind of bottled it when trying to be a bit too ambitious doing this on the exchange.
Yeah. So as you can see here, the price are moving. So because it's an exchange, he's after getting bigger there now. He's gone up to 3.9. The number underneath of the 2 means that's the biggest bet that we can place at that price at the moment. So the small bet there, 29. You can see it's moving the whole time. So if we want to get a small bit, people are laying him at 4.0 and he's there at 3.75. So if we put something in the middle, maybe with 3.85, stick up the bet. Go back there now. So this is our bet here. This is our 10.0, our £10 at 3.85, and we are just
sorry, Deasy, just have to re-share the screen there. It's just not showing at the moment on the on that side of things there.
This is our 10.0, our £10 at 3.85. You see it there now?
Can you see it, Steve?
No, I can't.
Well, let me. I'm going to share the.
It's just a grey screen at the moment, lads.
Work on that in a sec.
I'll refresh here.
But yeah, essentially, go on, Steve.
Well, we can tell you what's happening in the market, and I mean whether we ought to. Whitehaven's 13.5, Ravens Arc's 4.6, and with Agagio who's the sort of sharing favouritism. Orfarius is interesting because he doesn't win very often, but he doesn't finish out the frame very often. So you can think that if you think that like that the 2.44 in the place only, he's the perfect horse, what we would call a place pot horse in the past, because you know he's going to finish around the frame. So if you were thinking like that with Orfarius, but I don't like backing horses like that. I think that they worry me, especially drawn out in 10. And he didn't stay in at Chester last time in the Chester Cup kind of consolation race. Back to a more suitable distance. But I mean, he's a horse that should be thereabouts. So taking at one of the places, but it's an open enough race, isn't it?
Yeah, your thoughts on the race, Dees?
Is that Sean for you there now?
It's not yet. No.
No, not on that end. I'll take over on that side of things. Yeah, your thoughts on the race, Dees?
My thoughts on the race were like Whitehaven. It was the exact same one that I picked out. I thought Fox Farley was a bit unlucky the last time. He kind of tried to do a bit of a Cleveland at Chester and tried to come up the inside, and the break was or didn't quite get the breaks, but he's quite weak in the market here now today. He's after drifting a lot, so that's never a good sign. Saratoga Gold, I think, will be better off dropping in trip as well. He was 5th behind the Gadget last time, over 2 miles. But before that, I think he had a course and distance win. Maybe it might be a bit too soft for him. I'm happy enough to stick with Whitehaven there in the place market. We put up the offer at 3.85, and that's after being matched. He's drifted out a small bit now again to 4.2. But look, if he finishes in the top 3, we make a profit of 28.50. So happy with that. Just I suppose the win market, Agagiano is going to favour. He's 4.5. That's more than from Ravens Arc drifting. Didn't fancy Ravens Arc. No, I thought he's never won at the distance and didn't really stay the course and distance and good to soft the last time. So he was possibly going to be a bit of a play slave for me. He's actually 1.53 to finish in the top 4, and he's odds on to finish in the top 3. But I think we'll stick with our Whitehaven bet, seeing as myself and Jonesy were both on that. Just a word there and twisted reality. The Ragged Field. This horse finished 4th in an Oaks trial. Was it last year when he was trained by if Beckett? He was the second favourite. Ishada won the race. Do you remember that he was in the Qatar colours?
Yeah, it's that. I can't remember what they used to call it, but did they used to call it Swettenham Stud or something? It was a listed race in May, wasn't it? He's left Rafe Beckett and gone to David Menwizier, she didn't run at all well on a return to action, beating a country mile, but certainly has a bit of ability. I think what we're looking for with Whitehaven is not to be taken on out front by Happy of Mark Johnston. So if Whitehaven can get into a nice rhythm up front, especially with 3 places, especially with the soft ground, it might just be the right place to be. I like horses that go from the front on soft ground, because for me it takes a bit of making up ground. If you can set the good fractions on soft ground, it's not always ideal to get into the race from behind. So we're ready to go. And we're off. And Whitehaven jumps out nicely. Happy is trying to get up there with the horse in green there as well. He's just dropped back. So Happy and Whitehaven are going on. Happy's now going on. I think this is interesting. Obviously, you see Mark and Charlie Johnston's horses often go from the front. I think their horses need watching closely. They've had a slow start by their standards to the season. They're hitting form for Royal Ascot.
That's shown now, I think, perfectly. Steve, can you see that on Deese's screen?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were sharing it there. I'll bring it back up again.
No, sorry, I meant you.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. So Agio in 3rd is the place where everyone wants to be. Orfarius is tracking in fourth. So in Twisted Realities, somewhere up there. They're quite strung out considering Happy doesn't seem to be going that hard in front, although it is 1 mile 6 on soft ground. So Whitehaven's drifting out a bit, presumably because he didn't get to the lead, but that wouldn't worry me in the place market. I think he'll keep going for sure.
Whitehaven, a little bit, 15.5. I'm always fascinated in these in-play markets and how quickly they move. Fav is still hanging on 3.55, 3.7 now. There was a couple of shouts for that in the chat as well. 1 mile 6 furlongs, long old flat race, Steve.
Yeah, it is. I like the stayers though, because they, especially at the top level, and looking forward to the Gold Cup next week, because Stradivarius is a horse that's been around for so long, and you don't often see that at the top level on the flat. So that should be a great race. I'm surprised Fox Vardy's price hasn't drifted, because he's right out the back and he has been keen. And if you're betting in running, I think that's an angle sometimes. Horses that are keen, especially in soft ground, they just don't get home. And Happy in front has got very, very warm beforehand. Yeah. And that's not a good sign. And Whitehaven's going up there to have a pop, but there's a few in behind travelling quite nicely. One of them is Ajagio, and the other one is
Whitehaven 12.0 now.
Yeah, we need Whitehaven to keep going, don't we? And just going to hit the front, but Ajagio is cruising up sides, but we need Whitehaven to just keep plugging on.
He's trying.
He is trying. Bunched. He's trying. There's a few coming back. He might just end up being swamped, and I think that's the fitness now. He's just going past. But it's an interesting race. Ajagio hasn't put this to bed after travelling. There's a few late finishers. Look at Euphoria.
Far side.
Oh, I think Ajagio is going to hold on. But for future reference, you can see there why in the finish, if anyone's watching the pictures there, Orfarius, why he hasn't won very often. He had his head to one side. And although he's often there or thereabouts, he's not a horse I'd like to put my faith in a finish. But it's been a good night so far.
Fox Vardy, that was a good kind of angle there, because you were talking about how keen he was, and I was looking at the price, and if anything was going down a bit, I think touched maybe 10.0 there. So it just shows you if you commit to your angles there, there's a possible place lay options there, for example.
Yeah, absolutely, especially through the race, when a horse like him goes up travelling, at some point the tank is going to empty out, and he can go from travelling to struggling in a few strides after pulling so keen. So that's another angle in that I know a lot of people exploit in running, but you're dealing with betting long odds on a lot of the time in that kind of speak. So
few shout outs for the comments. In fairness to Peter, he's been calling his shots there. He's 3 winning punts in a row at Ajagio. There's some good comments here. I saw Neil Francis. Nice show, guys. Shame about the crap racing. Fair enough. We were watching Aintree at that time. Yeah, Goodwood's a small bit better. Some interesting shouts on the chat. It's Aintree next again. I'm looking at my notes here. It's a 3-runner race, so we probably only won't go. We'll go to it maybe a couple of minutes out. But yeah, it's actually. Well, I'll take this time while we're in between races to tell a little bit about the sign-up offer. So if you are watching, guys, and you don't have a Matchbook account, why not? First of all, second of all, you can take advantage of our money back welcome offer. That's money back as a free bet if your first bet loses up to £30. All you have to do is enter the bonus code Insights30. That's Insights30. Go to insights.matchbook.com for full details on that as well. Deasy.
Yes.
We discussed some other stuff in racing.
What would you like to discuss then?
Well, something that we touched on, Steve, a bit. Your strategy, when I always ask you about your horse racing strategy, is you like focusing on the football these days.
Me?
Football.
Jeez, not this week.
The Nations League is shocking, isn't it? Yeah.
Nations League. I they'll be doing football and racing will be the only things I bet on, because they're the only two sports that I would follow enough to be willing to back my opinion on them, I suppose. I think that's the most important thing. I think when you're betting is I suppose as you get a bit older, you get a bit more selective, and I would never really do too much punting on things I haven't done the research on. And I like my football. I watch a bit of football every week, and I watch a bit of racing every weekend as well. So I generally stick to that.
Yeah. Kenny for the Stack Boys. Peter, I'd hang on with him even if we struggle the next couple of games. I'd give him to the end of the Euros campaign, but we're not getting into that tonight. I purposely stayed away from Twitter there with our defeat there. Steve, it's all going wrong with Irish football at the moment. I don't know how much you follow. You're following this side of the water.
I don't follow football per se, really. Some kind of I sort of pretend to follow Cheltenham Town, who've done quite well in the recent years, only because that was I grew up near Cheltenham, and my best friend, his dad was a director there. When they were in non-league, they were in the Dr. Martins League, and when I was at college, I did radio reports for Cheltenham Town, going to places like you've never heard of. So it's good fun at the time, and I did like football at the time, but football I find a bit strange now. So
And come here, do you bet on anything outside of racing? Cricket would be my bet if I was to have a bet on what you bet on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, cricket. I've had some interesting times betting on cricket in the past. When 2020 first started, best part, probably 16 or 18 years ago, the televised game was the only game that they bet top batsman run scorer in. And 2020 was new, and it's a little bit different now. But I thought 20 overs, if you're batting in the first three, you've got a massive advantage than someone who's coming in lower down. And they still seem to be pricing it up on like one day markets, how they would. So like sort of 7-2 the field. So I decided that the best thing to do was to pick the best batsman who batted in the top three in each team and do them in each way doubles. Oh. And I thought, there's no way I can possibly lose at this. And so I started betting quite chunky on it. And in the days where, you could do that kind of thing. And I came to the conclusion that if you had a overseas player in the top three, that was generally the place to go. So there was some good Australians over here at the time. So I did it the whole tournament, and I kept getting place returns, but I could never match them both up at the same time. And so I wasn't losing a lot of money, but I was losing a little bit. And I remember I went down to Devon for a weekend, the finals weekend. So I did the bets in the semi-finals, and I think I got one of them placed up. And I thought at the end, I've had enough of this because I've been so unlucky. There was one in particular where the lad who came in three, he only had to, I think he was 2 behind the lad who was out, who opened, and he went down the track and took a big swish and was stumped. And I thought, why didn't you just push it in the gap? You could have been top run scorer. So it was pouring with rain where I was, and I was listening to the commentary on the radio, and the 2 people that I would have been on in the final, and that's the only game in the whole tournament that was televised that I didn't do it on, and it came up, and I would have won fortunes, and I thought, this isn't for me, is it? This isn't for me.
No, it's the race.
Can't give up after a bad beat like that, Steve.
That's worse than a bad beat, isn't it? There's one thing worse than a bad beat, and that's not getting on on a good win.
Yeah. Another cricketing genius story of mine was when spreads were very popular about 20 years ago, and I think England were touring the West Indies. It was either they were touring the West Indies or the West Indies were touring over here. I think England were in the West Indies, and I got all the guys at Raceform to buy Corey Collingmore's wickets. Because Corey Collingmore wasn't quick, but he used to. I think they must have been over here actually, and he nibbled it around, and I thought he'd be perfect in the conditions. And I'll never forget where I was driving. It's not far from where I live now, which I didn't live back then. And I was listening to it on the radio and Test Match Special, and Graham Thorpe was batting, and he said, "In comes Collymore. Oh, it's him right in front. That must be out LBW." And I thought, right, we're away. And he said, "The umpire's not given it. Oh, that looked absolutely plumb LBW." And I thought, oh, this is the way it's going to be. And they played it, missed it him all series, and he didn't take many wickets. So another tale of desperate times on punting cricket. And when you're on the spreads, it hurts at every point.
Yeah.
You know, every missed opportunity is money down the drain.
We can have the opportunity for more money down the drain here now, Steve.
Yeah.
We're back to 3-runner
1 point.
handicap chase at Aintree. So your neighbour, Fergal O'Brien, has as the favourite there, Mortlock. Natural Party is second favourite there, 3.2 for Ali Murphy, and Echo, ex-Paul Nicholls horse, is drag at 8.2. So what do you think?
Well, yeah, ex-Paul Nicholls horse, Echo, joining Alexander Dunn. I can't imagine that there's going to be a huge amount of juice in him immediately. I think they'll probably have to get him down the handicap a little bit. He was very disappointing in the end for Paul Nicholls, but did win last time out at Uttoxeter in a race that probably fell apart a little bit. The hot favourite that day ran a shocker, so I'd be a bit worried about that. But Alexander Dunn's a very good trainer. I think he'll do all right with this horse in time, but they'll need a little bit of time. Paul Nicholls wouldn't let them go if there was any more wins immediately in the future. And Notre Pari had a lot of form over fences. Did never managed to win one of them, and was back over hurdles and seems to have been a little bit rejuvenated. But and this is obviously a lower level than Notre Pari had been running in, mostly over fences, but just doesn't seem to be a horse that enjoys it totally for me. And Mortlock is in great form, albeit in 4-runner races. That he's going to get a 3-runner race, and he has jumped out to his right a little bit in time. So I'm not mad keen on any of them, to be honest, but I'm not sure I'd want to lay Mortlock.
Come here on the pure angle of the outsider of the three at 9.6 now. Currently, Echo, he's not the rider's being dismantled at the moment here. Is he all right?
Yeah, I don't quite know what's going on.
But 9.4. I was looking at this earlier, thinking if I was to have a bet, it'd probably be Echo. You mentioned Paul Nicholls. Now I know
his body protectors come off, hasn't it? It's Johnny Burke, isn't it? His body protectors come undone, I think, or something's happened to it because he's not got the colours on. I thought it was green colours and it's black, but that of course is his body protector.
A couple of horses from Paul Nicholls have gone back to Willie Mullins now, Steve, and done fairly well, fairly quickly.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be horses that he was trying to get moved on. They would be ones that the owners moved back to Willie Mullins. Stormy Island's one.
Yeah, Stormy was the one. Yeah.
Another old friend of mine who looked like she was going to win the Triumph Hurdle going to the last and ended up finishing about 8th. Well, to be fair, she burst blood vessels a lot during her career, so they did well to get the wins out of her that they did.
Particularly at the end.
I remember Chris Gordon used to get a lot of horses from Paul Nicholls. My memory is terrible, but horses have done fairly well. But he said, when they arrive, you need a bit of time with them to get them back down the handicap because he's not going to pass them on to you and you'll win straight away with them, and he'll see that as a missed opportunity. So they do tend to do all right further down the line, but not immediately after they've joined from Paul Nicholls, which isn't a massive surprise, I suppose. The favourite there, Mortlock, is a little bit buzzed up under Paddy Brenner. Remarkable, isn't he, Paddy? 41, I think he is now. It doesn't seem to show any signs of packing up anytime soon.
Dees, would you have a nibble at the Echo here at 9.2?
Echo would have been my bet as well, but I have to agree with what everything Jonesy said as well about like Paul Nicholls isn't going to let him go if he can squeeze another win out of it. But out of the 3 trainers, I think she's had the most wins in the last fortnight. She's 33% strike rate. Alexandra Dunn, she had a horse that won very well the other day, Toad Hall in a 3-runner race.
We lead this one for in play and maybe have a talk about it after maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'm happy enough to.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Well, I'm going in there with a pure bias view of Echo. I'm going to back Echo here. 2 miles, 4 furlongs. Take it away, Steve. They're over the first.
Yeah, Mortlack has jumped a little bit right, and Paddy Brennan is very keen to keep Mortlake's head kind of pointed towards the inside rail, so that must be a bit of an issue, and it might be a bit of an issue for Echo, who's a close up in second on the outside of the.
Yeah,
and there you see again, he's going right, and this is interesting because horses obviously in the wild live in herds. So when one starts doing it, the rest think, well, there must be a reason why he's doing that. There must be a bit of.
You've called this to perfection here, Steve.
Well, they're all going to follow him all the way around there.
This race is just missing. It's just missing a Styrian Phalange here, isn't it?
Yeah.
He'd love this.
There they go again. But you can understand why they're faced with this big brown fence, and they don't know what's on the other side. And the 2 in behind must think, well, Mortlock knows what he's doing. He's trying to avoid something on the inside. So they all self-preservation. They're not as daft as people make out horses. They're very intelligent creatures.
Interesting. Natra Parry did go fab there about a fence ago, but it's gone back to where we were at the start of the racing.
He's gone violently right, isn't he?
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Steve? What do you think causes that? Is it a physical tick, or is it?
No, some horses, they just like going one way round or the other, don't they? I'd say that obviously Ferg and Paddy Brennan are aware of it, but they thought this was probably a winnable race. But you could see from the off, Paddy Brennan was very keen to get his head pointing at the rail rather than allowing him to just run straight into the fences where he's going to go like that. Back in my youth, a horse that everyone will remember, Carville's Hill, he did that in Ireland violently. He was very, very talented horse, but he had back problems, and he used to run down his fences in Ireland. He went over to Martin Pipe, and Martin Pipe straightened him out, but he then won the Welsh National by off top weight by a country mile. But I always think those back problems, getting him to jump straight, those back problems resurfaced, and he was never quite as good again.
I like Echo here, Deasy, particularly the last furlong or so. Seems to have kind of.
He's tipping, and he's probably jumping a bit better than Natra Parry. He's 1 or 2 jumps down over. He's gained the length in him, and again his price is short. Though he's 6.0.
Oh wow, she's coming in now.
5.9, which I suppose that's natural. I don't think Paddy will have gone for this horse either yet, though. He's
no.
I think probably Echo's coming in because people are thinking, well, this horse is jumping so violently right that maybe he can't keep it up. But now he's pinched 6 lengths off Echo, and Natra Parry just, for me, doesn't enjoy jumping fences. He hasn't jumped badly, but he just doesn't seem to enjoy it.
But that's so interesting. Like Natra Parry was fab maybe three or four fences ago. It's amazing how quickly. And it's also you never think that everyone's watching the same thing that you're watching, including the camera angles and all. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's thinking the same. So you've kind of got to get in that mindset of, yes, Echo's jumping well here, but and you can see now Echo's on the drift, 16.0. It's a 2-horse race here.
Even when Paddy Brennan pushed him into that fence to go off a long stride, he still jumped right. So he's, they can put a different bit on him, a pricker to try and get him not to do that. Whether they have or not, I don't know. But some horses, they just prefer to lean one way or the other. And to be fair to him, he's jumped well. He hasn't jumped straight, but he's jumped well.
You don't think Natra Parry is out of this and there's that long straight?
2.2. Oh, come here. I had so many bad beats during the Aintree Grand National Festival on this train now, believe me. 2.7, Natra Parry.
All Paddy has to do is keep him in by the rail, and nothing is going to go down the outside of him because he'll just get a headbutt.
4.2 now, Natra Parry.
I think this is the in-running market here is very much, if you know the horses, because the favourite, although he's jumping right, Not Trapari for me is not a horse that fancies it a great deal.
No.
And he travelled up very well, looking like he might. And you could say if you came to the race and you didn't know the horses, you could say, "Oh God, that's got a great chance." But he's emptied so quick, and you can't take advantage of him. And he's over the last. And he's 10 lengths clear.
That was his best jump.
Yeah.
We did well not betting on that now, to be fair.
Yeah, a good winner there for Fergal.
Yeah, so what sort of targets there now? Tough question, Jonesy. I'm trying to think of right-handed tracks now for the. Yeah.
Oh, there's market race, and there's got to be races at some point down the line. Perth is another track. I don't know. Have they got meetings left at Perth? I lose track of it, but that's certainly a track that Fergal O'Brien does have a lot of success at. And where else is right-handed? Wincanton's finished, Taunton's finished. There's going to be opportunities for the horse, but he is winning. He's been very well placed to win these sort of races. So he'll have to, no matter, even going right-handed, he'll have to jump straighter. You wouldn't want him jumping right still in there. But that's the 22nd winner of the season for Fergal O'Brien, more than anyone. And I thought when he passed 100 for the first time a couple of seasons ago, because he relies mainly on handicappers, I thought he was going to find it very hard to do that again. But he did the next season, and he's made a fantastic start again this season. So there's every chance he'll top 100. And I think it was 129 last season. Yeah. If he can do that again, he's cemented himself in the big league. And a really because he's not got backers spending huge amounts of money, so you've got to take your hat off to him. He does exceptionally well.
Well, I suppose, but he's building up the business, and he'll eventually start getting sent better horses, I think, and bit by bit. I mean, Fergal is around with a while, but he's still a kind of a young enough trainer by other people's standards, I think. And it's good to see him doing so well.
Yeah, the challenge for Fergal is not to just keep churning out the winners, but to up the quality like Dan Skelton did. But it took Dan Skelton a long time to get those Grade 1 horses. It's the same with Ollie Murphy. You're all right churning out the winners, but you've got to build on that and up the quality. So I'm sure Fergal O'Brien will at some point, and it's already showing. He's attracting bigger owners who can spend the money. So hopefully for him, he will, because he's only he's walkable from where I'm sat.
Yeah, he's good for the game. I think everyone enjoys his Twitter and just his general demeanor. Like he's a good guy. I'd say he's a good man to go for a few points. But I'd say no.
That's
always the barometer, isn't it?
Yeah. Except he doesn't drink.
Well, you could drink a few stories. Doesn't he drink? There's a bit of interesting trivia there now.
No, he doesn't drink. Is the guy who does his social media, Simon Gilson? He definitely does drink. Definitely.
He's so topical with them all the time. I'm always liking those tweets.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And the interesting thing with Simon is he is always putting up what he's drinking, what he's eating, and he hasn't got a very healthy lifestyle. And he's a doctor. Make of that what you will.
There you go. So we have 10 minutes till Goodwood, the next in Goodwood. I have to say though, I know there was only 3 runners in that, but the jumping from the right, I thoroughly enjoyed watching that race. Now I have to say,
it was interesting, wasn't it?
I'm a jumps
even
man.
in the mundane 3-runner race like that, it is interesting. That's why I find it so fascinating with horse racing. There's always something going on.
That's why I keep backing a steering for Lange. Just that bit of madness, taking out 3 horses in the Supreme.
Can you imagine if you were riding one of those that was upsides? You think, oh my god.
We've got a comment in here saying "True Gem at Goodwood, lads." Is that the next?
It is. He's being back. I'll bring up the prices there. We'll just have a
10
minutes out. 2 seconds there now.
Let us know in the comments who you're fancying for this one. This is the 6.59 at Goodwood. And Deasy's going to take you through the betting.
Yeah, so Woodland's Charm is favourite now at 4.4. Then you have True Gem for Carlburg, 6.0. Go Razzmatazz is 7.6. And you have Whistledown for Micheál is 7.6 as well. Peggotty is 8.4. Rosa Mystica is 10.0. Me Next for Mark Todd is 16.5. Micheál for Archie Watson is 24.0. And then Mick Appleby's horse Glass Trees is 27.0.
Quick comparison here before you come in, Steve. So the current favourite, Woodland's Charm, 3.75 generally on the sports books right now on the one I'm open up here, and it's 4.3 there. So you can see the difference. Particularly, this is the time to bet in the exchange, the 7 or 8 minutes before the race. Steve, who do you like in this?
Do you know what? This is one race I couldn't make head nor tail of. I did, like I say, I'd start off trying to take on Woodland's Charm, who's won last time out at Ripon, and probably did quite well to win, didn't get the clearest of runs. But then I was just going round in circles. Rosa Mystica for young jockey Dion LaRue. Don't see too many LaRues riding, do you? But Rosa Mystica won it at Lingfield last time and travelled well, but the softer ground, although he has run all right on softer ground, I'm not so sure in this grade. So, yeah, I'm going to let Dees take total control and try and nick us a few quid somewhere.
Woodland's Charm was my bet as well for this, for all the reasons that you said. I like True Gem. You know, it's only his 4th run on turf. It's all weather. And here we go now, Peter Pulse. We probably shouldn't be going against him. The form he's in.
He's doing well.
He's I suppose there's been a bit of money for him as well. This is only his 4th run on turf. He's only won once in his life. I just thought he was weak enough. Same with Rosa Mystica. Rosa Mystica won a seller over 5 furlongs here and this week last year. So this could be his time here. But again, it's a career high mark. A few of the rest of them there, they're just I went down through it and I just kept coming back and thinking like maybe I might just overcomplicate this. Like Woodland's Charm, I think he could have won that race before the last time. Ran up the back of him at the switch out and got home just by a length. He probably saved himself a few pounds, kept a few pounds up the sleeve. So I would be happy enough to back him. We obviously win only in this, although this is a tough one. This wasn't one of the easier races on the card. I think to have an opinion on something.
You happy to row in with that, Steve, on the 4.3? We put up a price, would we, Dees, or
we'll hang tough now a minute anyway, because there'll be a bit of movement in the market now as well. I mean, if he drifts wildly, you have to take that as a bad sign as well. But he's been fairly steady at the top of the market all day. True Gem is the big move. True Gem was 4th in the betting when I was up on earlier, and he's after coming in now to 6.0, which is 5 to 1. And the books, so he's an interesting enough one. Yeah, this is a tough race, like you said, Steve. I just couldn't make heads nor tail of it, and Phillies handicap as well. I think with the Phillies, it's nearly always important to stick with the ones who are in form. That was another one. Another reason I like Woodland's Charm.
Absolutely. Now Woodland's Charm's coming out onto the track. The jockey's looking around as if something happened there, but didn't quite see what happened. But down at the start, Woodland's Charm looks relaxed enough and really alert.
5.0 now, Steve.
Yeah, I'd say that's a reaction to something that they've just shown on the TV.
We're going to stick half point down here, so 5.0, because we're not neither of us are too too hot. We'll go for half point. And is there anything else at a bigger price or something for a place that you'd like to have a crack off, Steve?
No, I'm
going
to chicken out of this. How much truck do you put in when you go to somewhere like Goodwood? That's a horse like Rosa Mystica, albeit in a cellar, has already got course form. Do you think that tips the balance in her towards her?
I do, and I know it's a strange angle, but the fact that she won almost to the day last year, that does kind of that I would see that as a plus. No, that was a selling race and barely won over 5 furlongs. A bit of extra distance would probably help her. She's top weight in this. I wouldn't be opposed to going for a 3 or 4 place bet on here if that's something that you were thinking of.
No, I'm just yeah, she doesn't do it for me, to be honest.
No,
nothing does it for me in this race. Do you know what? If Woodland's Charm got a good position and we've had 20 quid on and went into something like 3.0, I'd almost be looking to get out because I think it's quite an open race. And then obviously we get matched and Woodland's Charm would win. She wouldn't get matched and she'd get beat. So
actually, the negative I had on Rosa Mystica was that they had a £3 claimer on them last time. It won, and now they have a £7 claimer on. So it's obviously not too much juice in the handicap market. They have to keep claiming off.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Woodland's Charm's on the drift a bit.
5.3. And speaking of that, Steve, and I know Deasy, you touched on this an hour ago, but for those that weren't watching that, you can lay whatever price you want. So it's not as complicated as you think, lay and running and all this. You just put up a lay bet for, say, 2.5 or 2.75. And if Woodland's Charm gets to that price during the race, you get out. And as Steve said, obviously, if not, gets beat. But serious drift now because it's not in play at the moment.
You can see it really kicking off here now. So if you can see these 2 horses here, this is Whistledown, the Micheál horse.
Serious money, isn't it?
Favorite there now. He's going into 5.3. True Gem was favourite for a few seconds there. The 2 of them now are battling out for co-favourites. There's a lot of Woodland's Charm now was after drifting to the third in the betting, and it seems to be all the money are for True Gem and Whistledown. Just have a quick look at Whistledown here now. Quite a consistent horse, I suppose. It's only won once in its career, but there's a lot of good placed efforts. And again, Micheál is a good one to land a punt. It was just I looked at it earlier and I just thought again it was the jockey kind of put me off as well. Rose the Oz. I was like, I'm a very inexperienced jockey. There was nothing in there to suggest that that she would be this well backed even, but again you can't ignore
Go Razzmatazz here. There's some issue with Go Razzmatazz. I don't know whether it's tack or something. They're taking the saddle off, so she might not be running. Yeah, the jockey's taken the saddle off. I think she's going to be a non-runner.
She looks fine anyway. She's good or she's walking.
Yeah. I think we can safely say that Go Razzmatazz is not going to run.
There hasn't been a big drift on her just yet anyway. The news hasn't got across. This will slow things down massively anyway.
They better know that there's a 4-runner race at Aintree off in 13 minutes, you know.
Lucky we do.
So there's no horses loaded there as far as I can see. Or is there one? Are they starting to load? No.
One's gone in. One's gone in. So
I mistake the human feet for the horses there.
Yeah. Some good news. Woodland's Charm is starting to come back in. The Whistledown now is clear favourite at 5.1. That's just over 4.4 to 1 in the fractions.
Yeah. They must be taking out Go Razzmatazz. That's it.
Yeah, it's all over the place. So this is going to cause a bit of a reduction to our bet, I'd say.
Yeah, so explain that, Deasy. The real 4.
It's generally based on the horse's price when it's withdrawn. So I mean, obviously, the bigger the price, the more of a reduction. You've often seen it there as 5p on the pound or 10p on the pound. So Go Razzmatazz is 4th in. I think her price was about, what was it?
It was about 6.6.
6.0. So we could be looking.
Be nice to get a winner here, just so we can show exactly how much was taken out. bar anything else. It'll also be nice to have a winner. Full stop.
Get a winner anyway.
Yeah.
You probably, I think that should happen automatically. You know, we'll see these adjusted.
Yeah. So Woodlands Charm second Fav here. Still haven't gone off. They're off. Simon Hull commentating.
Yeah, we're a bit keen in front or just upsides, but now just settling down. So it'd be interesting to see how the market reacts to that. And Woodlands Charms, gone those early stages of the race and early stages of the market.
Where do you want to be at Goodwood generally, Steve? Is there on the?
Yeah,
off the rail.
Yeah, just off the rail, I'd say. But we're in a good position. They don't seem to be going too fast. And Woodlands Charms up there with True Gem on her outside, and the one on the rail is one of the outsiders, Glass Trees.
This is when it's going to start to pick up now.
She's still there, but she's making hard work of it.
Yeah.
Peter's Punts might land the money again. Fucking Rosa Mystica is playing it aside.
Not over yet on the.
No, one's trying to charge through, but it's there's your winner. True Gem.
Peter's Punts tearing it up.
Yeah. True Gem. What odds was that? It was the second Fav, wasn't it? 5.5, 6.0.
I don't know what price he was going to be after the
Rule 4, yeah.
After Rule 4, but
good crowd of Goodwood by the looks of it. Just at the front there, look, watching the replays. I've never been Glorious Goodwood, Steve. You mentioned earlier you've been there a few times, have you?
Yeah.
At least you enjoy punting on it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful track, really wonderful. I've been there lots in Glorious Goodwood and in the May meeting and others. I was there for Racing TV the other day, and I said to the guy, Nick Lightfoot, I was working with, I was there Guineas Day actually, and it was just such an enjoyable day. When the sun shines, it is beautiful. It's got the most stunning backdrop over the South Downs. When it's wet, it's not so great, and that because it's quite near to the sea, it's only a few miles off the coast. It's near Chichester, and the sea fret can come up, and it's horrendous. Then it is pretty horrendous, but on a good day, it is the most beautiful place in the world.
I do love that stretch in late July, the Galway Festival and Glorious Goodwood. Memories of going to Galway and having a look at the Goodwood card going in there. You know, it's just because it's the height of summer, isn't it? So it's at least the last bit of summer, end of July, like great time, like. So that's when I turn into flat. Although I'll mainly be focused on Galway for the Galway play and Galway hurdle. So, but have you ever been Galway, Steve?
Yeah, years and years ago. When I was about 18, I went with my parents and some of their friends went over, and we stayed in Connemara. Is that right?
Yeah.
Down on the coast there, which was beautiful, and then went to the Galway Plate a couple of times. But it was mad. It was really mad, but great fun. And the last two fences are so close together, aren't they? They talk about Sandown and stuff, but the last two fences are insanely close together, and then a huge run-in. So it was great fun. Enjoyed it.
I do love the track. What other Irish tracks have you been to?
I've been to Punchestown, the Punchestown Festival. Me and a pal used to go. Been there a good few times. Been to Leopardstown. I've been to Navan. I went to Navan Boyne Hurdle Day. I think I was telling you this the other day, that War of Attrition, the Boyne Hurdle that day. And we were in the press room, which obviously was packed with the Irish press. And one guy who I can't remember who it was. Not sure I even knew at the time who it was. Just stood by the telly as they came like over the last hurdle and was just shouting, "War, war, war, war." And Will Haler shouted out, "What is it good for?" And no one flinched in the Irish press. They didn't find that in the least bit amusing. I thought it was funny, but we went. That was on a trip to Noel Mead.
Oh, very good.
I think Noel Mead had a I think it was Go Native that was possibly running the champion hurdle. So we went to his, and we had a lovely night in a restaurant, and then he decided he'd take us to his local pub, and we went to this huge door, and it didn't look like anyone was there. We thought, Gordon Bennett, where's he taking us to? And he did this kind of secret knock. The door opened, and we went in there, and you could barely move. You wouldn't have known there was a soul in there from the outside, and it was a great night. Yeah, that was it, Navan.
There you go. So you're a fan of coming over anyway for a few races. We'll have to get you over again, Steve, at some point, I think.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's Ireland. The great thing about Ireland, I always thought with the Punchestown Festival, it's like football over here. I'm not really into football, but I know a little bit about it. And it's the same with racing in Ireland. Even people who've not really got a strong interest in racing seem to know a little bit about racing because it's kind of your national sport almost, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good point. I have a lot of mates that and even their dads and stuff would just suddenly form these strong opinions around Punchestown. But it is great, and it kind of leads to and it's not that hard to follow, it's not that hard to follow. Like, obviously Willie Munn's a Punchestown. You don't have to be an expert to kind of pick out the best trainer, and then from there on it's just a case of picking the right horse. But yeah, it's always a good crack. Like, I did enjoy doing the Ferry House Punchestown double there for the first time this year, and I'll be doing it again next year for sure.
Ladies' Day double.
Ladies' Day double. What did you say to me, Dees? Or sorry, what did you say? You actually you went behind my back and you tweeted out. Your
that was his. You did the third consecutive Ladies' Day of festival season. Early house Punchestown and Aintree.
That's it. The Holy Trinity. I think
you're dead right, boy. You're dead right. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
One year at Punchestown, I was staying in a hotel between Dublin and Naas, and we were just waiting for a taxi, and this little chap Irish chap with a cap came up, and he said, "Do you fancy anything today?" And I said, "Oh, I quite fancy that. I think it was one of John Joe O'Neill's," and didn't think anything of it. And 10 minutes later, we got into the taxi, and this voice said, "I've got your tip, lads. I've got you this tip." And I thought, I know that voice, and it was this little bloke giving me my tip back. So it's dangerous, isn't it, taking tips off taxi drivers if he's going on my say so. That's for sure.
Oh, there's 5 minutes to the off now. Dees, we get prices up for the. Let me check my notes. 4-runner race at Aintree.
At least we have the 4 on this one out.
You take us through the betting, Dees, but I know Steve has a strong lay here, I think.
I wonder who it is. Go on, Shez.
Yeah, I've given that away.
A 2.02. Then Danny Whizbang is 4.2 for Milton Harris. I'm a Starman is 5.2, and then Aboya the Macan is 12.5.
Steve, take it away. I think you agree with Peter Punce on who you're backing and who you're laying here.
Well, Milton Harris had the winner early in the evening, and Danny Whizbang is another horse that's come from Paul Nicholls, but he's come last summer. He joined Milton Harris, and he won at Huntington in April. And last time he just made a bad mistake at the line. He was beaten 21 lengths, lasted 3 finishes, but he ran a lot better than that. He made a bad mistake at the last, and then just sort of went down to a walk. I think he's a player, but I also think Aboya de Mathan could be a player. Didn't stay 3-5 at Fakenham, and back down in distance is a player. So my theory with Go on Shares and trying to lay this horse that's on a 5-timer was that I think this race is a bit deeper, and he's going up in grade quite significantly. He's been winning 0 to 110s, and this is a 0 to 125. I just didn't think this was an even money shot or a 1.99 shot. So I'd be laying him and hoping that we could get him beat. I'm a Starman's another one that you wouldn't completely rule out, even though didn't run particularly well on Chase debut at Warwick. But on his hurdles form, you'd have to give him a chance.
So, Dees, you put up to lay at 2.0. We're just looking to get matched.
So, yeah, this is going to be an unmatched bet. So, as you can see here, it's 2.0 there. The price is 2.06. Now, the market is obviously going against us. We can we can change that up. I mean, you're obviously still happy to lay him at 2.12, are you, Steve?
Do you know what? I'd be of the opinion that we leave it up to go in running for the first first little bit. I wouldn't leave it up totally, but I think we'll get it matched at around 2 at some point, because it's 2.04.
Look at now.
2.02. Yeah, I wouldn't panic when that happens. We got it matched. So that's interesting. When people chase the price, I think that's dangerous, because you always end up doing something that you actually didn't intend to do.
You just want to get on, and then it becomes, you're better off in the long run just having patience and holding firm, because most of the times you will get matched, like you said, anyway. Yeah. So we're going down close to 2 minutes.
This is a lay bet, so we're just hoping for any other horse in the race to beat him, basically. Any of the three of them.
That's good.
Yeah. Gives us a chance.
They're going down to start. Still a few minutes at that.
been
a bit of money for I'm a Starman there now. Then Danny Whizbang was kind of almost half fancied for the 4 miler a couple of years ago, wasn't he? Or the National Hunt Chase, I believe.
Yeah, it was a bit of a disappointing horse for Paul Nicholls, wasn't he? I think he was quite keen at times and things like that, but
I mean, he was running off 147 there a couple of 2 years ago, in 2020. So
yeah, I think he was the stereotypical horse that he won the John Frankham Novices Chase, which is a Grade 2 at Newbury at their big November meeting, and he beat Reserve Tank, who at that point was had won it. I think the Grade 1 at Aintree over hurdles, and was obviously a really nice prospect. But Danny Whizbang just got overrated, and it took him a long time to come down. And by that point, he was a bit disappointing, and Paul Nicholls moved him on. But Milton Harris, he's some trainer at the moment.
And Steve, would you be a bit sick if Danny Whizbang wins it now? Because I know he'd probably be your bet if you had it back.
If we get a return, I wouldn't be that sick. No, because I do think. Even at Abaya de Mathan, I wouldn't rule him out. He's 18.5. I wouldn't back him because I don't fancy them that strongly. But I think it wouldn't surprise me if he did.
So
just give go on,
an example there. Abaya de Mathan is 15-2 in the sports books, and you can see here is 18.0 on the exchange. So there's a massive difference between the books and the exchange. Now, generally, I would look at that as a massive negative, because you think the smart money is on the exchange. It should be driving it the right way. So, but again, that's just an example of I suppose the value you're getting on the exchange. He could win.
Yeah, by the man, he is on the drift from the. He actually opened up in the sports books at 5-1. Yeah, which is there you go. So and it's 10-1 now out to 12s, but it just shows you the drift on that. So 2.0 currently is the Fav, 4.1 I'm a Starman, 4.7 Danny Whizbang, and Abaya de Mathan 18.0, 17.0. Someone's listening to you, Steve.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's like the taxi driver again, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
16.0 now.
Well, we've got 3 runners going for us, and I think they're all live ones. That's the way I would approach it with Go on Shares, who's on a roll, but is up in grade. And we'll find out. We're off. No, we're not. We've got 4 runners and we got a false start. That's just what we need. No, sorry, I was a bit hasty then. We're off.
Fast start for you, Steve.
Yeah, very much so.
So the good in play market there. So Go on Shares, slight odds on 1.99 as they go to the first.
Being held up. There's no pace again, is there? 3 mile one. And Go on Ches is being held up at the.
Interesting, Steve. Abaya de Mathan started to put across 12.5 now after the start. So he's obviously got an easy enough time at front.
I'm a Starman. Is put in 2 rather ungainly jumps out to the right, probably following the previous winner.
Still 1.64 now.
Yeah, because I'm a Starman's who's well backed, is doubled in price because of this jumping. And it comes into the next and again goes right. And the one thing that the favourite does is jump. So, well,
we could have 2 horses back. Although I'm a Starman, he isn't completely drifting on the market. He's 8.8.
I spent plenty of time to get it right, lads. This
Yeah, he needs to straighten up. You can't do that. I know the previous winner did, but yeah, it's not interesting with Abaya de Mathan. It's got holds his tail very, very high.
Just looking at that
And
there, yeah.
I'm always wary of horses that do that because it says to me that they've got back issues sometimes. I mean, sometimes it might just be a little quirk. Look at that. I'm a Starman going out to the right again. The interesting thing with this
is jumped the hurdle there,
yeah. The interesting thing with this is in the previous race, the 2 runners behind tended to follow, but these have got more sense and they're not.
Yeah, geez, we can see how far right.
Yeah, you can't give away that much ground.
No matter what horse you are. Boy, the Matan, how's his jumping here? Not bad.
Yeah,
he's getting he's gone 3rd, Pav, now, obviously, with I'm a Starman. It is interesting watching the market with a horse like I'm a Starman because he surely can't win here. Yeah. And look, jeepers. Oh my God.
And he whacked that as well.
That was proper right.
Yeah.
That's the next fairway.
We've got to look on the bright side. Even with I'm a Starman looking like he's going to struggle, we still got 2 running for us.
Yeah.
We do. Delay. Go on, Shays now is like he's 1.5. He's 2-1 on to win this. Like in this, they have another full circuit to go. No one has played their cards yet, really.
Abaya de Matan 9-1, 9.6 now on the exchange.
It's almost by default, isn't it? Because I'm a Starman's obviously not going to do any good here. Danny Wisbone didn't jump that one very well. It's interesting how the market reacts to a horse that makes a mistake. They can overreact quite a lot of the time.
Jumping so far right, he's landing in Manchester from Peter Woods. Yeah, spot on.
Go on, Shays, put in a bit of a bad jump there now, was it?
1.44 as they jump this. Full circuit still to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks a bit ominous, this, doesn't it?
Mm.
It's a bad feeling when a horse runs like I'm a Starman is seemingly out of the game so early, and you have laid the fav because you're struggling to.
Would he not like at some point go? I need to start jumping the other way, like.
Well, Lily Pinchin's done very well to keep him in the race, really, because
leading.
Yeah,
currently your leader here. Like if you only tuned in there, you'd be happy out with I'm Starman, wouldn't you?
Maybe she's decided we'll try him in front and see if he jumps a bit straighter. Maybe he was shying away from the other horses. I doubt it, but it's worth a go, isn't it?
We'll see in a sec, but there's a bit of a run to the next fence. It was 22.0. It's gone into 15.5 based on the moving up to the front. So this fence will probably tell a lot. I think he's already making his way towards the right. Yeah. Oh my God!
And it's just when you think again,
he's going to still be in the lead, I think, which just shows you 17.5. He's not.
That was the camera angle, let's say.
Yeah, Abaya de Matan 5.4 again, maybe by default, but if you got on at 18.5, you're a very happy man here.
Well, he looks like he's the only danger to the favourite now, who's very short.
Yeah, 1.2.
It's fallen apart a bit, this race. Although Danny Wisbang's, he's sort of on and off the bridle, isn't he? He's a funny old boy, Danny Wisbang. So he's still there with a chance.
Mm.
But they've got no pace, have they? And he did whack that as well.
If they've got no pace, Abaya de Matan couldn't nick it from the front. At least give them a race.
Henry Brooks definitely holding on to a lot of horse in second on the favourite. But he's just drifted out a bit when Abaya de Mathan and Tom Scudamore pinched a bit again. And maybe
very early there.
Oh, the favourite just got in a bit tight.
Yeah, just for
didn't lose any ground.
No.
But Tom Scudamore's ridden a canny race here. He hasn't panicked at any point. He's
7-2 now. Here we go. I mean, the 5 should win this. Big jump here. Ooh.
Oh, he's squeaked.
Not over yet. Not over. Here we go. 2.32 up high the Manhattan. We've got a bit of a race here.
We need a good jump, don't we?
He's seen the horse now. He's seen the horse.
The Wilsons will have this horse now in the Gold Cup next year if he wins.
Yeah. This is cruised round. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've done my money from that we won earlier. Yeah.
Fair jump, yeah. Well done.
Yeah, good jump at the last. I think it's fair to say that form isn't particularly strong.
Yes.
But it's a 5-timer for Go On Chess, and the stable's in really good form.
Come here, how many horses can say they had a 5-timer, you know?
Exactly, not many. But you'd have more chance of summer jumping than most places.
Yeah, Altior, yeah. Yeah, again, the jumping right at Aintree, I guess it's just coincidental that there's twice in a row, but be interesting now in the next race. A couple of horses were jumping right over the last couple of races there. We have a tip for the next in Goodwood, Auntie Margaret.
One head in. One head in.
And sort of say with a winner.
I have an Auntie Margaret as well. That was going to be my angle for this.
You've had worse angles, to be fair, these.
Yeah.
It's funny when you go to the races with someone who rarely ever goes, and they say, "So, I back that because I've got Auntie Margaret, and it wins it 16-1 or something." And you think, and they're saying it's how easy it is, and you just think, "Oh God, leave me alone."
There was a guy here, a tech guy downstairs now, just a computer infrastructure guy, and he won a tipping competition there a few years ago, and his strategy was to just tip the horses that were wearing pink silks. And he won, and he's legendary among the company now. And I was there, and I was doing my research today, and they were all like, "Oh, why don't you just tip the guy in the pink like Lavro?" And I was like, "Yeah,
still a joke." Rich Ritchie obviously had a good day that day, did he?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Rich. I can't remember what festival it was, but he won it by country mile, a bit of place money as well. His horses at big prices, so that's all has gone down in legend here about Lavro and his pink horses.
A friend of mine I played golf with the other day, Mark Holder, told me a funny story about a guy that he considered the best punter that he's ever come across, who is always looking for an angle where he can pinch a bit, and very shrewd guy. And he got invited to the races somewhere by someone or other, and in that box they had a tipping competition, and the winner was down to win a bottle of champagne. But also the person who came last was going to get a bottle of champagne. So because he wants to nick a bit all the time, he just put up 100-1 shots every time, didn't have a winner, and picked up a bottle of champagne.
And if one came in, he'd have won a bottle of champagne. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd have been all day trying to come up with that strategy, genuinely. There's always cheat code to everything.
Yeah, if it works.
Are you looking forward to Ascot next week, Steve?
Yeah, very much so. I'm not going to be there. I'm working elsewhere, but it's just such a fantastic. It's just race after race after race, isn't it? Which is just great, and there's so many potential highlights with Baid and Stradivarius and the foreign horses coming over, the Japanese horses, and the Wesley Ward bringing over the Americans, and it's just a fantastic week. It's a bit hardcore, but it's really good.
A few superstars on show these next week.
Yeah, I was saying to Daniel the other day that like Cheltenham comes up and it's like this exam I've been studying for months, and I'm really well prepared, and all is the week before Ascot, then I just nothing done for it. I do thoroughly enjoy it though. Once we're into it, it's like Baid in the first race. I hope he goes out and wins it by 20 lengths. Absolutely smashes them. And that'll be the start of it then. And I am looking forward to Stradivarius. I know a few boys here now want to be the Kiprios is the one for that, but Strad was very good now the last time. Thought he was good. I thought he was as good as ever. And if the ground is good, which it probably will be, I think he'll have a great chance at the bumper. And look at Cleveland as well. Cleveland as well. Cleveland is probably the banker of the meeting for me. And I think
getting in early.
Yeah. Well, he's
no point.
The price has gone away. No, Brian said he's going for that race, so I was wondering where he was going to go. But I'll be done with it. I probably won't match it all on Saturday though. I always kind of forget the Saturday of it. I like this Tuesday to Friday is the good stuff, and the Saturday just kind of gets away from me then.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting if Cheltenham ever goes down that road, which more than likely will be now, Steve, with the Tuesday to Saturday.
Yeah, like everyone else, I don't think there's the races there to support a competitive 5 days, but money talks, unfortunately, and that's all that matters. And if you've got everything in place for 4 days, it's not going to cost a lot to put on a 5th day, considering the potential returns. So, yeah, we saw it this year that some of the races just they don't do it. And I thought the most interesting thing in the graded races that it was almost favourite, and that's not good. You need them to be competitive races. You don't want it to be like Aintree is tonight. Just it's. Yeah, I mean, the championship races, the champion hurdle, the champion chase, the Gold Cup, and to a certain extent the Stayers hurdle, they'll always be competitive. But the lesser grade, the novice races especially, in the real danger of them being just pretty boring races, sadly.
You even see with the Dublin Racing Festival, the success of having so many graded races, but in 2 days, do you know what I mean? So that's only a weekend card, and the quality of racing is great. You're nearly exhausted after those 2 days. But I heard someone make the point that I think it's Kev Blake, like, do you ever think at the end of the Martin Pipe that I can't wait for another day of this? You're absolutely exhausted at that point, whether you've won, lost, or drawn, like, you know.
Home in bed about an hour and a half after it.
Yeah, it's exhausting, and it's brilliant. Like, I love it, and I think right now it is probably too much. Where you can just about justify the 4 days. It's a lot, but the 7 races each day, you can get behind it. Every day is a mix of 3 handicaps, a couple of graded races, maybe a bumper one day. You know, the next day something else. So.
It's a completely different, even for ourselves here now. Like, we're not going to be, I'd say, 50% as busy next week as we will be during Cheltenham. It's a completely, and I suppose that's the difference in the season is that the whole of the jump season is geared towards that, whereas Ascot comes probably a quarter of the way through the flat season, maybe a third of the way. You know, like it's just a different. And I would say that probably the product of Ascot is probably superior to Cheltenham in terms of race quality, definitely. And no, it's a strange one. Like, I know I'm a big jumps fan, but we look at the flat races in the summer, and it's all so good, but there just doesn't seem to be as much interest in it.
No, it's interesting. That's Steve, isn't it?
In some cases, I mean, I know plenty of people who have no time for the jumps and love the flat. So
I think you get, because it's the summer, especially the big meetings, Ascot. You've obviously got the attraction of the Royals, and a lot of people in the Royal Enclosure would just be going for days out, and it is a really nice day out, especially when the weather's shining at places like Ascot and Goodwood and Newmarket, especially York. I love York Ebor meeting. I think it's probably my favourite meeting of the whole year, and it just lends itself to days out where over jumps you get the real enthusiasts, and with Cheltenham. When it was 3 days, most people, I would guess, went all 3 days, or a lot more people went all 3 days than they do now 4 days. They would probably pick and choose 2 days, especially the guys coming over from Ireland. They would certainly have gone 3 days in the past. Now maybe they're picking 3 days or picking 2 days and going. And with 5 days, who's going to go 5 days? No. It's going to cost a fortune.
I mean, I will do it the first. I'm not gonna lie, Steve. I will do it the first year just to say I've done it, and then. But I agree with your point. So I don't know why I'm telling you that, but I'm just letting you know I will do the 5 days. Just FYI.
Yeah, well, do it while you're young, Dan. I think. Is the key.
Yeah, definitely past the peak in that regard. Double cherry for you, Steve. Here is what you're liking. 4.9 a good price. Not as enthusiastic as you were earlier.
Not well. I don't think there's that huge amount of value in there, but I think Double Cherry is interesting. I wasn't expecting. I know Double Cherry's been very strong in the market, and I can see why, going up in distance, and it's got already got form at 10 furlongs and 11 furlongs in good races, in good novice races, and seemed to handle Goodwood and soft ground okay on debut behind Secret Image in a race that had a lot of good horses in it, the likes of Island Falcon, another Godolphin horse who did very well, and Schmilson, who was just a couple of lengths in front of Double Cherry, who I think is a really nice horse, and that was a good debut. And Tom Ward, who used to be assistant to Richard Hannon, a really good young trainer, and seems to know what he's got. And with Double Cherry, I think they're hopeful clearly of having a horse that's well enough handicapped to win. I wouldn't go mad keen because I think we've missed the price, but still we're getting 4.8. A horse that I think is going to win. Auntie Margaret, after your Auntie Margaret. I think there's quite a bit of pace in here, and Auntie Margaret would be one of them. The others, Charles Street or Charles Saint. Charles Street. Would be another, and Mugada is another they can go on. So might be run at a decent enough pace, and that should suit Double Cherry, who I think has got no problem stepping up in trip, because I think Double Cherry will probably like going up in trip. In fact, I really hope confident he will.
Yeah, Dees, are we thinking maybe half unit play on this win in the win market, or?
Happy enough to Charles Street. If you saw Charles Street, he spent a good bit of time in his box recently because he was up in Musselburgh for his last race, and now he's down in Goodwood. Paul Moran was on the last time and almost gave him the perfect ride. He really went from the front, and he was only just picked up at the end by a horse who was well handicapped, a horse called Hills. Thought he was unlucky. Auntie Margaret as well was another one that just kind of, I suppose, Mark Johnson at Goodwood, he likes the track. Double Cherry, the price is drifting down a little bit, Steve. I'd never strong opinion on anything, so I'm happy enough to stick with Double Cherry on this. Especially, are you happy enough for 5.0, Steve?
Yeah, not big, but we can try and nick a few quid back that we lost laying that easy winner at Aintree.
I think we'd have a little bet in Auntie Margaret as well. We split our stakes there.
Yeah, let's do it. Because we'll never hear the end of it in the comments if it's been.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to have an Auntie Margaret.
Yeah. This is for you, Peter and Helen.
Yeah.
Well, we've beaten
as much as we are.
We've beaten the price on Double Cherry. He's now 4.3. So
that's it. We can dine on that tonight.
Yeah, we can cash out on that.
And listen, I don't think anyone was expecting us to double our bankroll tonight and Goodwood and Aintree.
I'm looking forward to the next person in has to pick up this mess, Steve.
No one else wanted to do it. They were all like, "No, I'll wait till the next time. No, we'll see how it goes."
Yeah. A few lads sussing it out. Steve, you're the only one who stepped up to the plate, so you have my respect.
Steve,
if not to everyone else.
Right,
we're off. Sorry, yeah, I'm gonna fry.
See, we could get out here. We could get out here and win a fiver if it well, not anymore.
Tempting. Right, so 1 mile 4 furlong in Goodwood, Steve. We're off.
Yeah.
Auntie
Margaret's in front, not being taken on by some of the others that were potential. Charles Street's just sitting in behind. We've got a nice position on the rail with Double Cherry, so I suppose Auntie Margaret actually has picked the pace up a little bit now. Charles Street has got upsides and the pace has lifted a little bit. Double Cherry could be a bit more relaxed through the race, but nothing to panic about just yet. And in fact, Double Cherry, by virtue of being in that nice position in behind the pace, is now got a strong favourite, 3.55.
Dave Lewis says Percy Jones, currently 11.5. Auntie Margaret leads at the moment.
I haven't got any relations. I haven't got any relations called Percy Jones. so I couldn't put it up.
I thought he was saying Percy Jones. I didn't know what he was saying. So I was confused. But yeah, Percy Jones.
We didn't get that on the card.
No. So it's all happening quick tonight. The Aintree races are taking up a lot of the time. So I'm trying to locate. So Double Cherry there is in third place. Not a bad run into the race. Double Cherry there, to be fair. Yeah, nice position, as you said, Dees.
Yeah, Sean Levy on our horse, and the leader still Auntie Margaret, Joe Fanning. I've seen him up front so many times going the right pace, but there's a few now coming up, travelling well. And Double Cherry's just got stuck in behind. They're coming down the centre of the track, which is interesting. The one that's travelling really well is Mercy and him.
Double Cherry going on.
Now we've got Charles Street and Double Cherry putting it up, and Auntie Margaret's dropped right out. Percy Jones coming through on the rail.
Yeah.
But is there going to be any room? Is there going to be any room? Go on,
Double Cherry. Go on,
shorty boy.
How far we got left? Oh, the inside rail. Percy Jones.
No,
Go on.
He has it.
He has it. Go on. Half a furlong though. Who's flying home there? Someone's flying home.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Flying
Double
home.
Cherry.
Well done, Jonesy guy.
Double Cherry.
Classic tournament, my friend.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, that was good.
My AirPods are running out of battery as that was happening. It was all panic stations. I was roaring. So apologies. Excellent stuff.
We're back
Auntie Margaret, the Peter and Helen in the comments. They'll take the blame for that one.
Yeah, we're the first one we backed at Peter we put the hex on him.
Yeah, we did.
We gave away for everyone is there. John, that's great stuff. Note that could be 15 quid win. We're getting back to
shows,
back to even money for the night. Back to evens. Well done.
Are we not even 10p in front? We must be.
No,
I can't face Stanley if we've lost, even if it's a few coppers.
And the problem is he'll get the headline. That'll be it. He won't read the article. Do you know what I mean? He'll just see the headline minus £2 or something, and that'll be that.
He's a hard man.
Yeah. Double Cherry 4.3 on the sports books went off SP, so and we got from memory 5.0, 5.1. Good value, all right.
5.0 even, yeah.
We've beaten the book again. That's what we like to see.
Yeah. So talk us through it here, Steve. If you have the replay,
we are ahead by £1 and 46p.
Well, let's show the viewers there. £1.46. We'll call it off. Call it off.
There we are. We'll all go home now.
I think.
Steve, talk us through the replay.
Well, the angle in with Double Cherry and why he was so well backed, I presume, was the fact that he was going to improve going up in distance, and he has done. And I think he's going to improve. He'll stay a bit further as well. Percy Jones. He did look like he got a bit tight, but there's plenty of room up the inside if he wanted to go there. He's just off the rail, and I just thought he was trying to lug in a little bit behind. He travelled very well, but I always think I love horses like Altior and horses like that who don't necessarily travel the best, but they always find in a finish. And it's not how well you go through the race. Obviously, that helps because you're conserving energy, but the real finishes, and that's what's happened with Double Cherry. He's seen the race out really well on the soft ground, and that's been good enough to win. And clearly a progressive horse who's going to have a few more wins in front of him, I'm sure.
Yeah, very interesting. Dees.
He was strong at the line. It was a great shout by you there. In fairness, no, very happy with that. Well done.
And you stuck to your gun, Steve. You didn't panic. I had the list of your selections in front of me here, and you didn't deviate from that.
Yeah,
despite your initial noise when I asked you.
I expected Double Cherry to be a bit bigger, but he had been earlier in the day.
Yeah, and I guess it's more of the grey minds. And look, 5.0 is a 4-1 winner.
Yeah, you can't knock it.
Yeah, we've got
as long as we're in profit, Dees. We're in profit. Tell me we're in profit.
We're in profit.
We are, and we're going to get it up here now. £1.46.
Stick that up your hooter, Tom Stanley.
Wonder how the tree sergeant got on today.
I think he was a bit worried. I mean, you don't argue with a bloke with a chainsaw, do you? And if he's well built with tattoos, then I can't see Tom going toe to toe with him.
Did you listen back, Dees, to the pod?
I did. I had a good laugh at that. And if anyone who's watching who hasn't listened to the pod, you should check it out.
Yeah, we've got 8 races previewed from memory. It's York, Sandown, and one from Chester. And if you listen to it on Spotify or whatever, you'll see a lovely little dirty old town as Steve tries to explain the context to his lyrics. It ends up, the podcast makes Adele and Tom sound like they don't know what they're talking about regarding the song, as opposed to YouTube, which makes it look like you don't know what you're talking about, Steve. So I thought it was important to give you that bit.
I think that's obvious. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's very. But
great song, though.
Great song, and been very well backed. Not surprisingly. 34.0. I don't know what it is on Matchbook at the moment, but earlier it's certainly been well backed into something like 21.0. So
we'll have a quick look here now live.
We have a bit of time here now. We'll have a little
7 minutes before the off and another 5 minutes watching them run around as well. So,
what race is he running in?
320 Chester. And in the angle with him is, I mean, he didn't run very well last time, but he sat next to him. Oh God, 12.5.
Someone's had a nibble.
Absolutely, but it's a massive. Everyone knows that Chester's very tight, and you need to be drawn near the rail. But the shorter you go, it's not the same for all distances. And over that distance, in the last 10 years, in races with 10 runners or more, the top 3 boxes have won 45% of the races. And he's drawn 1, and he likes to go forward. There's no way he should have been that sort of price. So hopefully he'll be able to ping out and get a good position, and that's half the battle at Chester, as we all know.
Are you a fan of the Pogues, Steve?
Yeah, Shane McGowan, wasn't it?
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah,
you're dead right.
Yeah, no, I do. I like the Pogues. I like not just Irish folk music. I'm not someone who likes a certain band or a certain singer. I just like what I like, and I like I like Kenny Rogers. I thought he was great.
The Gambler.
So, the Gambler, and
what's the Islands in the Street? Islands in the Street
with Dolly Parton, and what's the other one I like? She Believes in Me, and I like Garth Brooks, and country and western. I like everything like that. Neil Diamond I like, and a lot of more modern stuff, so I'm not just stuck in the past.
Yeah, you'd have great chat to Sully there now. You're just naming out Sully's top 5 bands there now. Garth Brooks, Kenny Rogers, and
to answer Peter earlier about the rugby betting, I'll try and get it up here, or maybe I can't find it, but Sully is your man for that, Peter. Just FYI, at Sully Matchbook on Twitter for all your rugby tips. You used to bet a lot in the rugby back in the day, Dees, with Sully. This the Down Under, I understand. No, you watched them.
I was never in that. I suppose that thing was we was come in at Sully was come in at 6:30 on Friday morning, so he could bet in the NRL, the rugby league stuff inside here. And he's not a bad tipster, but whenever we were in, he gave us tips they all lost. So but he makes money off it apparently. So
yeah, he does. To be fair, he prices it up well.
Yeah.
Although I told him La Rochelle was a good bet against Leinster, but anyway, what do I know? Take us through the 7:48 D, so that you take it through a massive field here, relatively
a big 5-runner race here now at Aintree to change things up a small bit. So Hurricane Alley is favoured at 3.1. You know, El Baracho for Oliver Greenall, Josh Greer are going for a quick double, 4.2. Krypton Gold for Stuart Edmonds is 4.5. Coy Dodville for David Pipe is 6.8, and you Scott's Port then for Ewan Williams is the long shot at 11.5. Competitive enough race. What's your fancy in this, Steve? Oh, muted.
Sorry, I've muted myself because I'm losing my voice a bit. But yeah, I thought Hurricane Alley, but I expected Hurricane Alley to be a bit bigger than this, so. I don't like the price about Hurricane Alley, I must say, because It's a deep enough race because there's 4 last time out winners in it. One of them's a non-runner, isn't it? Saying that, Grey Spirit.
Grey Spirit, yeah.
Oh no, Grey Spirit didn't win last time out. So 4 last time out winners in a 5-runner race. Surely we can lay something to place, can't we? I'm not sure I'd want it to be Hurricane Alley and Brian Hughes, to be honest, but
Yeah, I like it. When I was looking at this first, I thought Scott's Poet was like, this is when they were all in there. Scott's Poet was 22.0, 24.0, and I thought no, he was vastly overpriced. See the 12.5 there now. He's I still think there's a bit of juice in that, but like there is not much between them. I think that Krypton Goal is an interesting runner. Stolen is only sending one up here, and he has a lot of runners recently, and again he's one of the shrewdest out there. You have to think
that would have been a hot race that he won it. It was only a juvenile hurdle, but it was a juvenile handicap, wasn't it, last time at Ascot in a big field. And in the context of this race, considering he won very nicely, but he might just have been a bit flattered because there was a good pace on that day and he came from right off it. So it'd be interesting to see if he can back it up in a race that's not likely to be run at such a gallop. But this is nowhere near as competitive, even though it's for the field it's competitive, but it's not a big field. Yeah, so I'm struggling to know which way to go because I was with Hurricane Alley, but I don't want to be at that price.
Yeah, again, excuse me. It's not something I've a massively strong opinion at 2 seconds.
Yeah, so you're it's a no bet for you then, Steve. Potentially as poor DC. Take your time, DC. There's no panic there at all. Hurricane Alley 3.1. Here, I'll get the prices zoomed in a bit here. Krypton Goal 5.4. Is there any price then that you will consider a bet if someone drifts out very late here, as you can kind of often see 2 minutes before the off, or maybe something to keep an eye on in play?
Do you know what? El Baracho has only been out of the frame once in God knows how many starts. Has won 4 times in the last 10 starts, been runner-up 3 times of those, been third in a couple of starts. Excuse me. And only run poorly once. So maybe in the place market, it odds against.
Yeah, let's lock it in. Small bet. That's great minds, these. And great from welfare here. This as well.
I know this is something I do about myself, but look, he's 3.8 in the win market. He's the second favourite, and the connections that they have just had a winner as well. We can back him to win here now at 3.85, and if he comes second, it'll cover our win market. It'll cover our win bet because I can't see him being too far away from it. Any interest in that, or are you happy to leave him at Dave Lewis is on Coy Dalville? He's telling us he's on before the race this time. This is Tell us why, Dave. What's right in? What's your argument? What's your tip? We want to hear from you.
Yeah, we want angles. We don't just want horses.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be another two minutes here anyway before they go off. So Baracho's 3.75 now. 2.0. There you go. Bit of value there.
I got the value.
Moving
markets, Steve. You're moving markets.
Yeah.
For all our talk given out about Aintree, there's actually been a few decent races there.
Yeah. I just love the jumps. I don't know what it is about it, but just the uncertainty of it all. And I know tactics are more important than flat, obviously, but I can kind of see the tactics and jumps a bit more because obviously you have so much time to think, where the flat happens like that. Where I don't know, it's just something about watching like the pace, and again, this is all with flat as well. But I just think with the jumps, there's just something about it. I don't know what it is.
That's all right, boy. That's all right. totally get you, but sure, I'm well documented as a performing the jumps. I think
I don't know. I think you're leaning towards the flat now.
I find it easier to read a race than the jumps as well.
Yeah.
Probably because I've watched it a lot more, but I do find it easier to pick out winners, definitely, as my record has shown already tonight.
Yeah, we're off. Take us through it, Steve. Let's do it. 2.5 miles furlong.
Well, we're in front, aren't we? So a little bit keen in front, but it's settled nicely in front now. So yeah, and Oliver Greenwell and Josh Guerrero, the joint trainers, had the previous winner that we laid. That didn't go very well, but they're in great form. Their team is in great form. And Henry Brook looking for a double, so his tail will be up.
No one jumped to the right there, which is a nice change. Obviously, hurdle course.
I think the ones jumping to the right of Warner Path over the fences.
So currently, Hurricane Ali's still the favourite, 2.6 on the Matchbook Exchange. El Baracho is 3.0.
But again, they're not going any pace, are they? So you'd like to think that we're in the right position at this stage. Jumping well as well. Hurricane Ali just landed on all fours, but it wasn't really a bad mistake, was it? So we're early stages. One more lap to go. I'd be happy enough with this at the moment. I think we're in the right place.
Yeah, and he can kind of dictate the lead from here as well. So one circuit to go. Sorry, I lost you there for a second.
He had his tactic spot on the last time, and this is a different ride now. He obviously waited with Guanchez the last time and is setting his own fractions here now.
I always find that fascinating, setting the fractions. Like you hear Rui talk about it, and obviously it's well documented. Danny Mullins is the quote unquote king of it. And I even thought at Aintree he kind of got it right against Florian Porter. It was such a long run-in against Cider Burley, but it's fascinating the tactics and how does the jockey read it by strides or anything like that. And obviously the more experience you have, the easier it is. But then again, they can still make mistakes as well.
I think if you read Kieran Fallon's book, he says that when he went over to the States and he was made right to the clock, he said it changed him completely for the better. I think he was the absolute bomb. I love Fallon.
When you say right to the clock, as in he was looking up his fractions after the race or during the race?
No, I think
in work, isn't it? They time the work and they want you to run to certain fractions because they work on the track, don't they? A lot of the time in America, and it's all done by time over there. So like you say, a lot of jockeys, Fallon being one of them, have gone over there and improved immeasurably. Well, we're still in front, and he's just seemed to have got a breather into Al Baracho, which is
this
good.
Is the big one. It's when you slow it down and everyone bunches up, and then can you quicken on from that pace? Yeah,
you want to let them come to you, and then try and pinch a few lengths and wind it up, and they've got to use their energy to get to you. And he's still going nicely in front. He's been tracked by the favourite Hurricane Ali. Needs a decent jump. Needs a decent jump. Yeah, good jump there. And the favourite didn't get a good jump, and he's got him on the back foot now.
1.74.
So we need another good jump here, and he gets one. He just needs to keep going. He just needs to keep going. Something coming down the outside. Krypton Gold's coming down the outside, but he's got 2 or 3 lengths to make on us.
Oh, Hurricane Ali.
But we only need to get in the first 2. We only need to get in the first 2.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I've been cheering him on to win.
And so I think he might still win. Go on, son. But we Hurricane Ali has it.
Hurricane Ali has it.
Does he?
Hurricane Ali has it.
Oh, go on, Hughes.
Oh, we got done on the line and we still get paid.
Well done. Even money winner.
So we didn't really know what to make head nor tail of it, and we nicked a few quid. That's what you can do on Matchbook.
Well, Stevie, your angle about how consistent the horse was, it paid fruition there big time, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Because it won't do the horse much good, his consistency, because he never comes down the handicap, does he? So he struggles to win, and he got nutted on the line there, which you feel a bit sorry for him, especially Henry Booker gave him a great ride. But that's another way you can make it pay on Matchbook, which you can't on the sports books, because You can just back him to place him.
Yeah,
And
it was a 5-runner race. We played in the 2-place market, and you got the second fab at just over even money to come in the top 2.
Yeah, good stuff. And we're well in profit now. If you want to start texting Tom and giving him the
tell Tom to tune in now. Yeah, we'll get him on. We'll add him in.
If we end up with profit, it makes it look like we know what we're doing, which is yeah.
It's amazing.
It's a miracle.
I think the 8 weeks will catch me and Deasy out somehow, but we'll see. But there, it's updated there now in the balance. I think we're up 665.
Don't spend it all at once. What racing welfare?
Yeah. $665. When's the next race? The next race is
10 past 8.
9 past 8 in Goodwood. So we've 2 races left. We're going to cover the last at Goodwood and the second last at Aintree. So if we played a half unit in both races, we could still lose out on the profit. So keep that in mind, Steve, when you are making your selections. Depends how you're feeling. I feel like you're feeling great now, but 2 races time.
Reading it. Peter Ponce is tweeting away here about how well he's doing watching our Watchalong. Well done, Peter. Delighted to see you.
Fair play, Peter.
Yeah.
Well, he had a good start. Did he have the last winner there? Oh, come on. Getting a bit seasick with the RTV picks. So yeah, Steve, I have written down here some of the topics I've written down. Outside of racing, right? What sort of, you always mention your old TV shows, Only Fools and Horses. So that's the kind of genre you go for in TV shows and all that, yeah.
I don't watch. I haven't seen anything new for ages that I really like. They all seem to be very violent. I'm not a massive fan of things like that. I like repeats of The Sweeney. I think The Sweeney is one of the great TV programs of all time with John Thor and Dennis Waterman. I think if you're doing top 5 TV shows of all time, Only Fools and Horses, Our Vida Zane Pet was just wonderful in the 80s. About the Geordie, well, they were from all over, but there was Jimmy Nail and Kevin Waitley and Tim Healy. Brickies in Germany in the 80s with Timothy Spall and a few others in it. Wonderful. Great humour. Like that. The Sweeney's got to be in there. Early Doors, which is a programme that some people might not be familiar with. Set in a pub.
I've never seen that, but I follow the Twitter account that tweets the clips about it.
It's the guy that co-wrote The Royal Family as well and starred in it with Carolina Hearn. It was hilarious, and he wrote it as well. It's just very, very funny. And anyone who's sort of been in those sort of pubs over the years, probably not so much now because most of them are shut down, but it's just that kind of humour is prevalent in all great pubs, isn't it? And I'm sure it's the same in Cork.
Yeah, these for you. If I said to you, TV shows was, I'm not gonna lie, Steve. Outside Only Fools and Horses, I hadn't a clue about the rest of them. But these for you.
I finished Better Call Saul.
Very good. Yeah,
I think that has to be. There's a bit of recency bias there now, but I think that's one of the best of all time. And I suppose Father Ted as well. Did you watch Father Ted, Steve?
I never really got into Father Ted.
Yeah.
It was one of those. It was the same with Alan Partridge. Never really got into that.
Alan Partridge, me and all know, but there's a guy on the marketing team with us, Lewis. His English league came up a few years ago. And we asked him, "Did you ever watch Father Ted?" I never even heard of it. We couldn't believe it.
Most people over here have heard of Father Ted. Most have watched it and really enjoyed it. I for whatever reason, I never really got into it.
Yeah, it's a bit Irish. I think it's one of the best shows of all time. One of the best shows of all time. I don't know what else now. Then I am off the top of my head. Game of Thrones. Jones didn't watch that though because it's very good.
Do you know what? Yeah. All those because that was American, was it? Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So all those American series that go on forever, I was ruined by watching Lost about 15 or 20 years ago. And I watched it for about, I don't know how long it was on for, 3 or 4 years or something. And the ending was so pathetic. And I was so angry. I vowed never to get into it again.
I watched that all the way through and I was into the last series, and I started going out with a girl who hated Lost. So then I couldn't watch it for a few weeks. I was like, grand, whatever. And then I heard about the ending. And I've never actually watched the ending of it. And I watched every single episode of it up till then. But I probably won't know. That was just something that went on too long, and they just were making it up as they went along, I think, by the end of it.
It was a victim of its own success because it did go on way too long. It was great to start with, really gripping, and then the ending was just unbelievable.
You should watch Better Call Saul now. You would like that. Not very violent, very little cursing.
What's it called?
Better Call Saul. It's on Netflix.
See, I don't even know how to operate Netflix.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you strike me as a man, Steve, that doesn't have Netflix.
I prefer to flick the sky on and see what's on. I mean, that's alien to people these days, isn't it?
So you're not watching Love Island stuff.
Which, sorry?
Love Island.
Love Island. Oh God, can you think of anything worse? Genuinely. And Chris Hughes is got into racing.
And Frankie Foster as well, I think. He was on Love Island.
Frankie Fraser.
Yeah, Mad Frankie Fraser, yeah.
As Dave Yates calls him. Yeah, I mean, they're nice lads and that, but you think, oh my God, I can't. Do you know what? It reminds me, like, I know it's not Love Island, but that trial of the two footballers' wives, one was Jamie Vardy's wife and one was Wayne Rooney's wife.
Yeah.
I had to have a good laugh at that because that sort of sums up that kind of Love Island vibe when the barrister was saying how one of them's phone ended up in the sea, whether she threw it in there or something to get rid of it. And he said, I thought this was great. He said, so what you're saying is the phone is in Davy Jones's locker. And she said, I've never even met him. And I thought, yeah, that would have made a great comedy show, wouldn't it? If it wasn't real, you'd think, Jesus, how have you survived this long in life and not twigged like that, crackers? Maybe I'm too old.
Maybe, Steve. Maybe that's it. This is it. You fancy one at a big price in this race?
I think it's a tricky race. It's again a lot of horses might not handle the ground. My fancy might be one of them, but I think in the pedigree of Targo, it's there's certainly aspects of the pedigree, and he has one on good to soft. I mean, it's a fair bit softer tonight. So I'm going to take a chance with Otago, who won last time at Brighton. And the angle I was going for here, he tends to run a lot at Brighton and Epsom. And as we know, they're quite difficult, tricky tracks. They're a lot of descent and turning in them, and which is similar to Goodwood, even though Epsom's obviously left-handed, Goodwood's mainly right-handed. So that was my angle in with Otago. Won last time out. Jim Boyle, who trains in Epsom, is in great form. So at 11 to 1, I'm going to have a look at the place market again because I'm a coward. And
let's have a look, Deasy. We've options for you, Steve.
3 places, 3.15.
Why don't we go
4 places,
2.24, a fiver?
Yeah.
At 4 places.
I like
it. Surely we can get in the first half.
You think that, Steve? I've had many of those. You think 4 is enough?
This is a real cowardly bet, but it's something you can be cowardly and win, can't you, on match? Yeah. But so
we cheered on a third that finished that we had in the 3 place market, and we cheered on a second that we had in the 2 place market. So they're winners in my book.
This is
Absolutely.
absolute grinding out of profit now, Steve.
Yeah.
This is fantastic bank call management and responsible gambling and all that as well.
Big ticks.
This is great stuff. No?
So what do you fancy, Dees?
He fancies having a right swing on the favourite.
Otago would have been in each a win place bet for me as well. For exactly what you said. Like I actually saw him win an Epsom there last June because I was on the other Jim Boyle horse in the race that came second to him, and he looked a nice sort. And as you said, like I always thought that Brighton farm kind of tied in with Epsom, and even the fact that Jim Boyle is travelling down here with him is a bit of a tip in itself. And I'm happy not to stick with him. I would have a small bit on the win as well. I think ascending there, I saw him tipped up a few places today, and I think that's obviously really affected his price. I thought he would drift a small bit more, but I think if you look at his back form, he's I can't get up here on the phone, sorry, but he's run behind a few kind of classier horses last year, place efforts, and I think they're probably thinking that he might have too much class for these. I didn't think he was a bet in this at all, and I thought there was probably a bit of juice. Otago's price happy enough with that. I think Canagat is an interesting horse. I think he will eventually win a race at a big price. He had some interesting back form as well. But I'm happy enough to stick with Otago. I would go so far as to say we should put a little win bet on him as well. But you're
yeah, why not? We've got a couple of quid in profit.
We do. It doesn't matter if we're down a fiver. It'll be my fault anyway. So he's 10.5 there now. Because even if he does hit the top four there, Steve, that'll cover our losses there and the win bet, and we will still make a small bit of profit.
2.0 in place now.
0.0 there now, yeah. There's been a good bit on him there in the fourth place.
I hope that's not you moving market, Steve. Again, usually the other way.
It is usually the other way. But
2 minutes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of horses in here that won't handle the ground if it's soft enough. So ascending was, I think the reason he's gone so short is because he did look at a little bit unlucky last time at this track over course and distance. So I'm always a bit wary of horses that you think were unlucky. But it proves that the track's all right and the ground's all right at least.
Here's a random question that came to my head just when you were saying that. I was thinking, I always have to watch it back to make sure I'm sure that horse is unlucky. Do you listen back to your replays with or without commentary?
Without most of the time, yeah. Only because I when I work, I have the music TV on.
Oh.
80s music TV, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Not Billy Idol, not Billy, whoever it was. Innis or something, wasn't it?
There you go. I never thought about listening to music watching the horse replay. Yeah.
Well, while I'm working, I'm always
Yes,
it's on the telly and I'm watching the replays on the computer, obviously.
And would you not go for a Spotify playlist now?
I've got an Alexa, but the one upstairs doesn't seem to want to work, and so I gave up.
Okay.
But I do listen to it downstairs.
Very good. We're off. Simon Holt's the commentator on Racing TV, but on the Matchbook Betting Exchange, Watchalong, it's Steve Jones. Steve, take it away.
Well, we got on the rail Canagat, who hasn't run for a bit, is setting it looks a decent enough pace up there with Must Be Royal, and as they settle down, Melody of Life is gone into third. We're sat off the pace.
Dead last, yeah.
And I think it's a good pace it's hard to sometimes judge it, but there's a few that aren't travelling in behind and trying to. I think this is a good pace set by Canigate and Must Be Raw, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see those two fade in the closing stages if we're getting a lovely toe from the favourite who's just in front. So I think we're certainly following the right horse. Who we've got Trevor Charlie Bennett is our jockey, and he's following the favourite who's not travelling as well as us. And Otago's coming now, right down the outside. He's
4.8. 4.8. Get
He's
excited.
just hanging a bit. Surely we can get in the frame. Even we've got
could win it.
Favourites just. Oh, the favourites just.
We got a chance here, guys.
Oh, it's just hanging down. They're getting a bit tight in front though. They're getting very tight in front. Go on, stay on for fourth. I mean, we got fourth, but we're not going to win. But the favourite's going to win down the outside, I think. It's been a bit of a rough race, really. But it did set up for the horses coming from behind. The second there was 2, 4, 6, 7 Maison. But yeah, it made pretty hard work of it, but it was quite rough. He did take a bump at certain stages, the favourite. But we've got our place money again. This is tonight. I might have learnt a new punting strategy. Just not bother with the winners. Just try and get the places because it's worked out all right.
I never thought I'd cheer on a horse not to like in a place market bet like that. And that's we backed a horse in the 3 place market, came third, 2 place market came second, and now 4 place market comes fourth.
We have really swum the channel with this, haven't we? By just going in the right market. That's the thing. That is the thing.
There's a monsoon starting outside my house. If there's any background noise, absolute monsoon started there. For anyone watching from Dublin,
it's beautiful here.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared of it, to be honest. So Ascending went off 3.0 the sports books. And like you said, Steve, you called it well early on. You said it was a good pace. They were well strung out. It's set up nicely for the horses in behind.
The replay there, you saw the 2 horses that set the pace finished right last but one and miles behind. So that was a strong pace set up for the winner and our fella Otago. So yeah, we've benefited. We've got the rub of the green, I think you could say.
Also, Steve, the balance is sitting nicely at £1,007.73.
So if we put a £5 on the last race, we'll have profit. We'll do enough that we just keep the profit there.
Or shall we live on the edge?
No, absolutely not.
73.
Racing Welfare supports the workforce of British racing, and we're going to give them a profit on day one of this.
All right. Well, look, there's the outsider of the field here is a Daniel McCain horse with Brian Hughes on it. And the next one at Aintree.
I mean, we could invest. We've got 10 minutes to the off. We look at early prices, these. Just give us. I know, Steve, you fancy one here. You have one written in the document.
I do. I thought that. Let's see the prices first. Thought this might be another favourite to lay. Oh no, it's a bit too big to be laying that.
You were looking early on. Was it closer to evens or?
Yeah. I think we should go with Brian Hughes and Donald McCain, a Matacan, personally. Do you agree with that, Dees? I think we were on.
I do.
I can't believe the price of it.
Well, he's drifted a bit though. He's drifted during the day.
Win market or 2 place market are the options here. So currently 7.4 to win 4 run race, and the 2 place market. Trying to think of a price. 2.8.
Yeah, I think we need to. We've got one race to get us well in front. I think we should go to win a Matacan.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it.
We'll stick to 773 on it. So
now keep enough these that we have a tiny bit of profit.
Oh yeah, where do I know how long is left? 2023. Yeah, we have another 9 minutes before this starts. So
should we have 573 on?
Yeah, 573. So
573.
We make £2. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. £2.
7.2.
If this wins,
it's a free bet essentially, isn't it? From throughout the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Send the picture to the lads there now.
Yeah. Nobody touched that.
Yeah.
And look, if we win, 35.53 profit.
Absolutely. If this does win, then we're going to be heroes in our own living room. Well, we got two guys that we want on our side, Brian Hughes and Donald McCain, and Amatakan has one right hand, done most of his winning right-handed, but has won at Catterick, which you need to be able to go left-handed there. In good form, ran well at Bangor last time. Just probably came up against a horse that got his own way out in front, and although Amatakan wasn't far off that pace, just couldn't get past, and likely to be ridden prominently again up against Sativo, who's another horse that likes to lead. Gary Hammers, one of his horses, beat Amatakan last time. But Sativo been doing a lot of winning in 3-runner fields, and has been going up in the weights. And last time at Warwick was a bit keen in front. You wouldn't want to do that again, even in this lesser grade.
Yeah, he's a short enough price for the lucky last. Really, he's we can see that the money is coming for him now, but there's been a money for our horse as well. He's in the 6.6 from 7.2, so that's a good sign. Probably a sign that there's a bit of support from him. He's a fantastic trainer as well, Donald McCain.
Yeah, the way he's reinvented himself after losing 70 horses, or it was when the Roonies took them away, is been incredible, really. And hats off to him. It was always going to take time, wasn't it? But he's banging in all. I think he was he the first to 100 winners this season?
Yeah, like he essentially won Brian Hughes the jockey title, didn't he? Like, I mean, you know, there's unbelievable stuff, and he had a good few trebles and 4-timers up there that dominating in the north.
Some partnership, and I think it's great that like they do go to the smaller tracks, and because there's a bit of like in midweek racing for the casual punter, like he's kind of keeping an eye on Brian Hughes during the week as opposed to, do you know what I mean? Like he can't, the best jockey or the jockey that has most winners can't always be at these big meetings, like, you know, and he wouldn't be getting these midweek winners if, for example, like if he's running for other trainers during the weekend, like, so I think it's great.
Yeah, and I do. And I think people miss the point when they're saying that the champion jockey's not riding at Cheltenham or wherever. It's the guy that rides the most winners, not the guy who gets on the best horses all the time. If you did it by prize money, it would just be boring, because it would be the guy who gets on, and it'd be the same as the champion trainer every year. So what's the point of that? So, yeah, I think, and people say, why doesn't Brian Hughes come down south and get a job with a big stable and ride in the bigger races down south? What's the point? Why would he want to? Why on earth would he want to?
Yeah, that's spot on. I think us in Ireland don't appreciate how big England is, and how like we can go from north to south maybe 5 or 6 hours, but it's a lot longer, I think, from north of England all the way down to, well, north of Scotland all the way down to maybe Southampton.
The miles the jockeys have to do is incredible. What other sportsman would have to drive 4 or 5 hours and then perform virtually straight away and then drive back home? You see footballers flying around and on coaches, and they only play once or twice a week.
That's a fair point.
And the jockeys are hungry and can't even drink water as well. And
yeah, I mean, it's mad, isn't it? Absolutely bonkers.
Particularly on the flat, the weights. What do you think of that weight debate, Steve? The 2 pound allowance?
The problem is, if you keep increasing the weights, you're putting someone out of work all the time, the lightweight guys who can naturally do it. And that's why Holly Doyle has such an advantage. I mean, she's very, very good. But one of the reasons why she has an advantage is because she's naturally light. And because she's very short, but she's so strong. And that I read once that after she did well as an apprentice, she was told by who, I don't know, maybe Richard Hannon, that she needed to get stronger, and she put on a stone in weight in muscle. Well, most jockeys can't do that because it would just make them too heavy. But she could, and she's reaping the benefit of it because she's so fit and so strong.
Yeah, seen her in a few videos. They are just just doing box jumps and lifts and stuff, and like just for the
That's
size,
incredible.
it's
That box jump when she's almost jumping up to her shoulder height, isn't she? And you think,
yeah,
good grief. And that's
no,
where the strength comes from in your legs, isn't it?
she's class. My father-in-law just backs Holly Doyle blind. He just whenever he's in around the town, he went to the bookies. If Holly Doyle is there, he'll back her. And I always know if Holly's had a good day because I get 2 or 3 phone calls. Yeah.
But it is, and like everyone laughs at that bit of punting, but it's like having a football team to support. You have a jockey to support, and you see it in Ireland with Rachel Blackmore. The crowds for Honeysuckle, and everyone gathered around Honeysuckle. Like all anyone talks about is Honeysuckle and Rachel Blackmore. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and there's people to support there, and there's a horse to support there as well. You know, you don't have to be betting on it.
Do you get in Ireland what we get over here from a certain section? Is that a horse like Honeysuckle, who's unbeaten? We had it with Frankel. They're always trying to knock it. Oh, it can't be beating anything. And well, it's a poor division. Can't be. No, wouldn't have. And then reel off some of the horses in the past. Wouldn't have beaten any of those. I find it really depressing that people can't just enjoy horses. They always have to knock it. It's like Frankel. He said, "Oh well, Frankel didn't race it 1.5 miles. Why on earth would you want to do that?" And they're almost desperate for these horses to get beat. So they say, "I told you it wasn't as good as everyone was saying." And I remember Nico when Altior was in his absolute pomp, and everyone was saying, "Oh, he needs to go up at the King George and that." And I said, "What do you think?" And Nico said, "Wait, he's winning at 2 miles. Why would I want him to do anything else? Because that's what he'll win, won't he?"
Yeah, that's like I never understood that obsession with putting him up and trip. If anything, you should be probably bringing him back and trip. I just never understood. But I suppose like at the same time, then it's like you forget that like. I suppose as you get older and you watch more racing, you kind of come to appreciate like just how rare the super horses are, like Frankel and Altior, and see the stars. See the stars was my
wonderful.
favorite. Yeah, he would be my favorite flat horse by a country mile now, because I thought that summer he was unbelievable. But Frankel's kiddies, even Frankel in the Queen Anne, like I mean, there was nothing is ever going to Boyd might do it. But there's nothing is ever going to come close to that. Like
no. I think the same people as well. I think the interesting thing is the same people who are saying, "Oh, you need to try a different distance with this horse. You need to do that." If it was kind of like a Group 2 or Group 3 horse, they'd be the first ones saying, "Well, they're running over the wrong trip. What are they doing that for? They never stay that way." So they're really strange people, those that can't enjoy the horses when the real greats. And Honeysuckle has to be a great horse. Has to be. Sure. I mean, what she's done is, I mean, the debate about the mare's allowance is another thing. I mean, I don't quite agree that in Grade 1, Group 1 races, horses should all carry the same weight. I would even do away with the weight allowance, but the world would go into meltdown if that was suggested. But you can't knock what Honeysuckle's done. She's beaten everything that is out there, and how can that be a bad thing?
The weight allowance probably is that you can't judge Honeysuckle the same as every other mare, because Honeysuckle is an absolute freak of a horse. Like, she's a complete superstar. Probably the same as Enable, just one of those horses that was just unbelievably good and so far ahead of him that I don't think will make a difference, to be honest.
Last thing on Honeysuckle, I feel like it's I don't see too many Irish people crabbing her. I do see a lot of British people crabbing her on Twitter, and I feel like when you're watching her, I felt watching her punches down, there was almost we really want her to win, not just because we want her to win, but we need to kind of stuff it up everyone else. You know what I mean? So there's wide support for her anyway on track. It's a bit like everything though, isn't there? There's always going to be haters.
But they're strange people who can't enjoy these horses because they don't come along, like Dee said, they don't come along very often. Yeah. You've got to
I appreciate people have to analyze races after, but look, when you're there, you do get caught up in it a bit. But I thought she was absolutely fine. Leopardstown and Punchestown. The Cheltenham performance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're off anyway. We've jumped a couple of fences, so Armatacan is in third. The pace is being set by Texard, and Sativo's up there. Fearless, who I have to tell you, I think is the worst named horse there's ever been, because he's absolutely anything but fearless. I got sucked into him when he was at Ollie Murphy's. I thought he was going to win a nice race, but he's anything but fearless.
Well strung out here.
Texar was not favourite for this race. There was a bit of a move from before the start. He switched place with Sortivo. Sortivo was not second favourite. There wasn't much support for our lad there in Automatic, and he was a bit of a drifter. But
yeah, they seem to be going a decent gallop. Gets into he's jumping all right there. They're going down the back now at Aintree, and Texad's still setting a quite strong pace from Sativo, a couple of 3 lengths behind, and probably 5 back to Matican. The exchange is the matchbook exchange doesn't. Oh, it's starting to come back in on a Matican.
Yeah, there's a bit of a drift. Yeah. You're always worried when you're watching it going, it's a second ahead of you and you're waiting for the, you know what I mean? You're looking at the pictures, but it seems fairly well in line here. 10.5. Still got a chance.
He's in an alright position there, because this fella's gone off fast.
Yeah, he has.
All we need is a small bit of a pace collapse, and he's in with a chance again.
We could do with Sativo's chasing him, but he seems to be going all right in front. But like you say, he's gone fast enough. And our lads now, Brian Hughes is sat quite confident here, and they're missing out the cross fence, presumably for the sun, is that? He's closed up a bit, so he's only 5 or 6 lengths behind the leader. That's as close as he's been for a bit. And if he can pick up down the straight,
8.4.
Yeah, it needs to.
Not without a chance.
Yeah, and he still seems to be hanging on to him, Brian Hughes. So
it's just the jumping's a bit.
Well, he jumped that okay, and now he's trying to ask him.
He's got to follow
Fearless is the one that's been smuggled into it.
Oh, he just lost it there.
Yeah, he's dropping right out now. I think the leader is going to hang on. Texard, he keeps galloping. Well, look at Fearless. Look at his head. I mean, he
just wants to get out.
They're going to box him in as well. I don't. Well, he's got a chance, but look at him. He doesn't fancy it one bit.
Oh, he's shooting up.
I don't know about it.
Oh, now all's changed. All changed. So Timo is putting it down. Fearless is pulling his head out. He's made me look a right mug, hasn't he? He's gone on to win by a length or 2. So
I was saying that there, and I was watching the price. I was like, "Yes, he's 1.3. He's definitely going to
win." Fair play.
You're done in by the exchange there, Steve. Yeah. Deasy, if you confirm our final total balance there.
Our final total balance is a profit of £2.
We might run through our bets there very briefly, Deasy.
Anyway, I don't know. I left to zoom out here a small, but just to bring up the reports.
I'll let you do that. You let me know. Yeah. Good day, Steve. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's good fun, wasn't it? It was good fun, and we managed somehow to come out of it with two quid for racing welfare. So,
yeah,
at least I haven't made a dent in the grand. So,
if you can zoom in a tad there, Dees. But yeah, we basically you can see we've done lays, we did wins, we did play
strong start there with our copper knob. Whitehaven, no good there in the 3-place market at Goodwood. Again, Wood is Chan a favourite. The United States was disappointed in the next one at Goodwood. We skipped the rest there. The entry is in the middle of all that. Go on, Chase. First lay bet of the night proved to be a disappointment, but then Jonesy got us back on track, put back in the winner, double cherry in the 25-8 at Goodwood. Again, the next one we got El Baracho home and second in the 2-place market at the next one at Aintree. Nice little
that was big, wasn't it?
In the place market on Otago at Goodwood. We lost the fiver and on the win market, but look, we still came out ahead the place one, and our next bet hasn't settled yet. That's going to be another losing fiver to leave us with €2 profit or £2 profit for the night. So all in all, Profit is profit. We'll take that. Well done, Jonesy. It was all you.
Well, no. It's a joint team effort. Even when we lose, it's definitely a team effort.
Yeah.
We worked
Jonesy,
hard for that £2, didn't we? We did work hard,
did.
but it was a lot of fun. It really enjoyed it. I hope everyone watching enjoyed it, and it's won a few quid as well somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
Jonesy,
Thanks,
yeah.
Thanks to everyone who tuned in and has been watching along with us. This is the whole point of it, to watch along. And again, we hope you enjoy what we're doing and enjoy the racing.
Yeah. Peter Punts was in form early on, so he's clearly had a good night.
Peter's gone to the pub there now. There's nothing but a while. I hope he's gone collecting his money.
And Steve was on the pod, as we mentioned earlier. He was on our weekend preview. Insights.matchbook.com. You'll find details of that. Steve, can you remember your best bet of the weekend?
Yeah, it was Spirit Mixer. I can't remember the time, but it's at Chester.
Very good.
So, Andrew Boulding. So I'm hoping that one will go in.
Adele and Tom are on as well. And if you go to insights.matchbook.com, if you do want to set up a matchbook account, you get a £30 welcome offer. Money back is a free bet, and you can put it on Steve's best bet tomorrow as well. So that will, you could even make a small bit of profit.
You could even win £2.
£2, exactly. We have a busy Ascot before I go. 12:30 Monday, Tom will be hosting, and Wednesday 12:30 Tom will be at Ascot, so I'll be hosting that one as well. So it's a busy time, but with Ascot next week. Dee's looking forward to it, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll have to, as you may have noticed, I have a broken wrist now, so I'm not to do.
Yeah, we never asked you. 3 hours, Jesus! I never even asked you about that. Yeah, 3 hours.
Oh, that's grand.
Oh, well.
I have a weekend in front of the laptop now watching replays for that.
Very good.
One of the best.
We'll be back. We'll be back sometime with a special guest post Ascot. Until then, thanks for listening. If you're listening to us, check out insights.matchbook.com, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.